It is morning, right? How do you do? It's soup and meatballs time. We've been in the kitchen marinating for a couple weeks, and I don't know where we've been for the last couple weekends, but all kinds of good stuff to talk about. Tim, how's your month been?
A nice little sabbatical from the podcast. We were in Cancun with the Celtics.
Ooh, they did. You get some tea times in with some of the boys.
Yeah, everyone but Tatum, unfortunately.
What did Tatum hurt? Was it his leg?
His Achilles.
You could still. Well, I would say maybe you can't golf with that.
Yeah,
that's like if it's an upper thigh bruise, like suck it up, dude. I mean,
yeah.
Tim only shows up once a year, so
that's like one of those possibly change the trajectory of your career kind of injuries. So Jason Tatum, don't go golfing with me in Cancun, as tempting as it may be.
You got sad right in a hurry there, man. Jeez.
Yeah. Starting this rainy Saturday off on a gloomy note.
Yeah, our high school graduation got bumped to today, so we're running a little early today. So I get some time to change into my graduation gear. Yesterday/today is always my favorite day of school because no matter how rough a kid had in like their high school time, I hated going to class. Today's always there's smiles all over the place. Everybody is super happy, so I'm excited to go check out the graduation of the class of 2025. But there's a lot of stuff that we missed over the course of the last, was it 2 weeks?
3 weeks.
I don't know.
Because it was, we didn't do one. Did we do one your birthday weekend? No, I don't
remember. The Saturday after the end of the Celtics Knicks series.
Yes,
that's the first one. So we'll start there. We'll rip the Band-Aid right off for you. This right here, the Knicks and the Pacers, was the Eastern Conference Finals that both you and I predicted, going as far back as February.
All season.
When we said that Cleveland and Boston should just have a 27-game series.
Yes.
And
neither one of them could win at home when it counts.
Yeah. Well, now New York is on their way to Indianapolis. Is that game today or tomorrow?
It's tonight, 8 o'clock.
I thought it was tonight. And I think tonight's the series. I think if New York wins momentum in Game 7 in the Garden, I think they win. But Indiana at home, this is a tough place to play. And what's really strange about, and I've actually paid attention to this series, what's strange about the Knicks' success, a lot of it is coming with Brunson on the bench. When Brunson's sitting, Towns steps up and he turns into a superstar. I can't explain it.
Towns has been having a very strong series. Brunson has been dealing with foul trouble a lot.
Yeah.
And, I personally, I think Indiana wins tonight. I think they end it. I think the league.
I wouldn't be shocked.
The dream finals ratings bonanza of Pacers Thunder in the the media markets of Indianapolis and
it's
Oklahoma
the markets. Yeah, because the NBA they have to promote players, and Tyrese Halliburton is turning himself into maybe like a Marvel villain this playoff series. I mean, what happened with the Bucks and Giannis's dad, and then Game 1 doing the whole choking thing. Like he's becoming a comic book. So you can market that if you want, but it's Indianapolis. Like I've been there. It's not a big city.
I've seen some people point out, and we'll talk about some conspiracy theories a little later. But
I have my tinfoil over here.
Do you really?
No, that's I lied. I'm sorry.
But when the Lakers were playing the Sacramento, like the Weber, Bibby, Peja Stojakovic Kings, and the Nets won the East over the Celtics, and there's a lot of people who believe that David Stern said we are not having a Nets Sacramento NBA Finals when we have Shaq and Kobe playing in Los Angeles, and that's how a Game 6 that is historically viewed as maybe having been fixed, to help the Lakers get to the finals and help the league with their ratings. I'm not suggesting that will happen tonight to get New York into at least a Game 7.
I'm okay with it.
But I'm also not saying it's not going to happen.
Well, you'll be able to tell in the first 5 minutes, I guess, how the whistles are blowing. I think the Indiana crowd is going to get into it. And here's the thing: you got to play the full 48 minutes. And I'm gonna rant about the real media for a second here. Not us. I mean, we are the real media, but the big time guys who called this series over after game one. Like the Knicks had it was like a 25-point lead or something. It was a 9-point lead with a minute left or something like that. And the radio guys the next day made a big spiel out of 1,414 teams have had a 9-point lead with a minute left, and they've won every game. Now it's like they're 1-14. And it was a big thing. And then when it was 2-1 and the Pacers won game 4, they said it's impossible, that there's no chance that the Knicks, they're down 3-1. It'll never happen. I really wanted to call in and tell them, do you know 1,414 teams have never dropped a 9-point lead with a minute left, and that happened? So
right.
It bugs the heck out of me, and I hope if the Knicks have any kind of professional pride to themselves, that they're seeing this kind of stuff and it's ticking them off. Like they need to come into this game aggravated. Go ahead.
And I also feel like when people say that, it misses the whole point of loving sports, which is to watch something that's never happened before. Not to bring up a sore point.
Oh, I got you. No, exactly. Dave Roberts.
2004, everyone was like, well, the Sox are done.
Game 3 was like 13-2. That game was an abomination.
Game 3, it was worse than that. It was like 18-7 or something. It was the Saturday Night Massacre.
No, it was bad. Nothing happens until it happens.
Exactly. Look at Cleveland against Golden State. They came back to win that title. I mean, this is why we still talk about these things 10, 20, 30 years later, because they had not happened, and they are great and memorable for having happened.
The fact that it's a 7-game series and you're calling it after game 1, and then the fact that it got to 3-1, and it still feels like Indiana is a better overall team. At least they're playing better. I'm not going to dispute that, but the hyperbole gets to me. I think, and I think that's in the media thing we're in now. Like we need clicks, we need engagement, so we're going to say stupid stuff.
And I'll tell you, and you make the point about the role that Indiana's on. I mean, everyone's been talking about OKC and how dominant they've been. The Nuggets took them 7, but they rolled through the first round, and they rolled through the
Nuggets are the Nuggets. A lot of people are saying that was the finals.
Yeah. Well, they have the best player in the world. I still think Jokic is the best player in the world.
Ooh, there we go.
But I think the Pacers have been more impressive to do what they did to Cleveland, and to do what they're doing in the Eastern Conference Finals, and to do what they did to Giannis and the Bucks. I think that if the Pacers win, I think they'll be a very worthy representative of the Eastern Conference.
I think that the basketball fan, the purest basketball fan who doesn't care about media market, like you said, I think they'll enjoy this. I think they're stars. I mean, so the Thunder got past Minneapolis or Minnesota. I can't believe I said Minneapolis because I'm thinking Indianapolis. They got past Minnesota.
Yeah, George Mikan and those tough Minneapolis Lakers.
Yeah, the big thing with what was going on out west. Again, the radio people were asking, did they think too highly of Anthony Edwards? I don't know about that. I think the Thunder were the number 1 seed for a reason. They won 64 games, I think.
They won 68 games.
They won 68 games. I mean,
that's like historic.
You had told me, I think this was back in February or March, you asked me, if the Thunder win the title this year, do we have to call them an all-time team? And I think now's the time you can start talking about that because they're in the finals. They're 4 games away from that eventuality. And I think that the whole all-time thing would come maybe next year. Can they win back-to-back? Do they win 2 of 3 or something like that? Then you can look back at this team and say, yeah, that was something. I think if the 70-win Bulls, if that was the only title they won, I think they're looked at differently. Does that make sense?
It does
But
the same way that
historic run this year, though, absolutely for Oklahoma.
the 70-win Warriors team is looked at differently because they didn't finish the job.
So I mean, you got Indiana tonight. I would not be surprised either way, but I will root for New York so that I could see Spike Lee in another orange suit, because that was worthy television, I think.
Yeah, it's funny. Spike Lee and Timothy Chalamet are getting more FaceTime than OG Anunoby. I mean,
I saw a still picture of it was Halliburton making some kind of weird signal, and there were like 9 celebrities in the box, and they labeled all of them. Ben Stiller was there. We talked about Ben Stiller the other day.
and you know what? I feel like the league is more fun when the Knicks are good. It's more fun when the big market teams are good. You know,
I think it's a star driven league, and it helps it helps with exposure. Like everybody knows Shea Gilgeous-Alexander because he's got a cool nickname. We call him SGA. He's a really good player, but he's in Oklahoma. So how widely broadcast is he? Nikola Jokic is maybe the greatest player in the world right now, but he's in Denver. Not a lot of people are seeing him. Luka Doncic is going to get a lot more visibility in LA. Brunson in New York gets a lot more. Sure.
I'll tell you what, though, market doesn't seem to be a problem for the NFL, where Patrick Mahomes is in Kansas City.
That's an entirely different story. We'll get to here in just a second. Look at you trying not to get fined early. I like it.
I know. I want to check all the boxes.
But on the script, so that I have the script here written out, and I didn't change this. I say last Monday night. It might have been 2 Monday nights ago. I don't know what night it was, but it was a Monday in the NBA. In addition to what they had in the playoffs, they had something called the draft lottery. Now, this is one of my favorite things in non-sporting terms. I've always liked this. It's fun. It's got that weird spectacle. It's like pro wrestling, right? You got the envelope. Jack Tunney might as well show up, and So here's the official results. I have the screen for you here. If you don't know, this is the actual 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and look who's at the top: the Dallas Mavericks. For the second time in 6 years, a team that trades a star to the Lakers gets the number 1 pick. I have my tinfoil handy. It's not right here, but I can go upstairs. Tim, is this something that is this a viable conspiracy? Is it okay to say it's rigged?
It's certainly okay to at least broach the subject, but I don't think just the way that the new lottery is structured, the team with the statistical probability, the highest statistical probability of getting number 1, has not gotten.
That was Utah. So you see the records there. Utah
and Charlotte were the 2 worst, and Washington.
So I mean, Washington has the 2nd worst record in the league, and they pick 6th. Which, I mean, it's still any draft. If I've gotten into the habit of looking at NFL first rounds going back like 10 years. First rounds are full of big names that sometimes don't pan out. If you look at the number of first rounders that don't make a Pro Bowl, the Pro Bowl in the NFL, like any first rounder should be at least one time you make the Pro Bowl. There's a bunch of them,
especially now where the Super Bowl teams don't send anyone to the Pro Bowl. It feels like everyone makes the Pro Bowl now.
Yeah. So in the NBA, it's similar, except there's only 2 rounds, so you're not really building up, that much. You're not flipping your roster that much. In the first round, you can find really, really good players at 6. I mean, I think Steph Curry was drafted 7th, wasn't he?
I believe he was the 8th pick because the Knicks passed on him, and that's a big what if for Knicks fans.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, he wasn't a top 3 pick.
He was a 16th, I believe.
He was out of the lottery then.
He was a project. He was just this raw athletic kid from Nigeria, via Greece, who, they were like, well, he's athletic enough that we'll take a flyer on this kid.
So maybe Washington gets lucky. But you say it's not rigged, and I'm likely to agree with you. But what's shady about it's shady, and if you look back, the '85 one, obviously the biggest one with the prize of the draft, Patrick Ewing from Georgetown. Did they want him in the biggest media market of New York?
With
Maybe.
the very first lottery.
The first. The year after LeBron leaves, well, the Cavaliers get the top pick, but not because of their record, because the Clippers had traded them their pick. 2012, the league was looking for buyers for the Charlotte Hornets. It didn't hurt that they landed Anthony Davis. They had a 13% chance. In 2014, the Cavaliers have a 1.7% chance. They win the lottery. Raises a lot of eyebrows when LeBron comes back then. So, I mean, I read this thing from Joe Shad of the Palm Beach Post. He said the lottery cannot possibly be rigged, and he went as far as to say, and I get your thoughts on this, we'll transition to the NFL so we don't get fined. This guy said the NFL should do the same thing. How about this? Think about this. The NFL draft lottery at 3 o'clock right before the 4:30 divisional playoff game. That would draw better ratings than Game 3 of the end of the World Series.
I think you do it conference championship weekend.
Scheduling aside, would you be in favor of this?
Or if you want to get eyeballs on the Pro Bowl, you do it during the Pro Bowl broadcast. But yeah, I do like the way the NBA does it, specifically because it de-incentivizes tanking. Because in the NBA, one player has a bigger impact than, in football or in baseball. So when you rest your studs, you're more likely to successfully tank. And that is just like the antithesis of sports, to be anti-competition, to say we're going to punt on an entire season is disrespect to your opponents, and it's disrespect to your fan base.
I think you see that you're likely to see it more in the NBA. In the NFL, like I remember the year that the Bears had the Panthers pick, I would rooted against the Panthers really hard. They still go out and try. In football, those professional athletes, they're out there trying, and the coaches are not pulling their studs. A lot of times, those teams don't have studs to pull off the field. In the NBA, you have the Sixers doing their process. I'm with you. It's completely, as a fan paying money, that would bug the heck out of me. I think it would be an interesting concept only if they did it live. Honestly, like you pull the ball out and like, oh, guess what? The Browns, you get the first pick, and just like erase any kind of mystery behind it. Have nobody know. You don't have to have the envelope stuffed. Just tell the graphic guy, look, you have 13 teams. Just hit the right button when it comes up. It doesn't have to be like the draft where like the TV stations know 2 minutes before we do because they've got to get the graphics set up. Just do it live, man.
And I'll just also I'll add this. I think one of the other things I love about the lottery is seeing grown men's like dreams crushed on live TV, where like, I forget who the representative for Utah was, but like as soon as like they see they're not getting the number 1 and they're not getting Cooper Flagg, and he's just
they're getting the 5th pick. I mean,
right, 5th pick's a great pick unless you just went through a 15-win season.
Yeah, no. I mean,
you need a lot of help when you're 15-67.
Yeah, but the last thing about the draft, we had talked. The Spurs are in really good shape, man, with picks 2 and 14, and you kind of pegged San Antonio as a place maybe Giannis would want to go to, and now they've got some capital to go get him.
Yeah, they can package those deals to go after Giannis. They can. They have the last 2 rookies of the year. They have they
pick number 2 even if they keep it.
What's that?
They pick number 2 even if they keep it. So they're in good
absolutely.
shape.
They are set to become a player in the West, depending on Wembanyama's health.
Yeah, that's the key right there.
But I'll be very interested to see what happens. Because there are also some people who wonder if Dallas shouldn't think about trading the one in a package to try to bring in some more like win now type help.
Is Cooper Flag generational? Is he Peyton Manning? Is he LeBron James?
A lot of people, like when the video was coming out of like Team USA in the lead up to the Olympics, and Cooper Flag was dropping threes on people and throwing down dunks. Yeah, the hype was pretty high. I think after Duke, didn't end up winning at all. I think some people soured on Cooper Flag a little bit.
If you remember what I texted you, I didn't see a ton of Duke last year, but when I saw them in the tournament, he didn't pop out as like, oh my gosh, look at that guy.
And you're right.
I don't know basketball though, so what do I know?
I was really struck by the contrast between the kid I saw fearlessly going at Anthony Davis, during Team USA practice, and then the kid who kind of demurred a little bit in the tournament and didn't seem to want to take the big shots.
And I wonder if it's a mental thing. It's not a physical thing. He's got all the physical skills. Let's get that straight. But 90% of basketball is half mental, I think. At least as a 90% of professional sports, period.
Let me check your math. Yeah, math checks out.
It checks out. It checks out. Speaking of the math, I'm working on this board game. I'm making a football game, and honestly, the toughest part of it for me is building the schedule. I've even gone to ChatGPT. I've gone to AI, and AI can't figure out the schedule. But you know who has figured out the schedule? The NFL. And I'll tell you what. Speaking of board games, a couple of years ago, I was doing like marketing work for the organization that runs the convention that I go to. And they would have this thing where like every month they would put out some news. Like this is the gamer of the year. This was the tournament of the year, whatever, just to get people continuing to think about it. Well, I'll tell you what, nobody else does this like the NFL. Like they are the undisputed king of content. Evidenced by, 2 Wednesdays ago, they made a 2-hour special about releasing the schedule. This is just the schedule.
And it's not gratuitous. Like I had people like Eagles fan friends of mine who were like, what do you think about like where the bye falls? What do you think about opening the season? Blah blah blah. The NFL is just on a since the early 90s, late 80s is on a roll in terms of popularity. Where, I mean, we're talking about NFL preseason games draw higher ratings than Major League It's like the World Series. The World Series wishes it got ratings like NFL preseason, let alone NFL regular season prime time.
And I
Thursday
like
night,
football.
Sunday night, Monday night football.
I really do. I don't want this to come off as like I don't, but like this feels like the LeBron James decision special. Like, do we really need to examine week 7? It's May.
I didn't.
But people do.
I didn't watch a second of it.
Neither did I. But so
I googled the Eagles schedule and then I was like, huh, all right.
That's future Tim's problem.
Yeah.
No, I watched some of the content creations on TikTok, and there's this one guy that's so in love with the NFL schedule. And he was breaking down week 1, and let's get something straight. Week 1 is they have some big matchups. The matchup he was most excited about, though, Carolina at Jacksonville, because he was excited to see Bryce Young take on Travis Hunter.
Him and no one else. Maybe.
Travis Hunter's
I
mom
don't
isn't
think Bryce
excited
Young
about
and
that.
Travis Hunter's parents are that excited for it. So
Seriously.
we'll catch you week 2.
Like. That's like that game is like Dolphins Colts week 1. Does anybody outside of Miami care about Dolphins Colts? No, this guy does. But here's the thing: the content creation sphere that's NFL centric, they are just they have now juicy content for all summer, at least until we get to training camp, to talk about their team schedule. So you looked at the Eagles schedule. What stands out to you? What's a big deal for you?
I think it's. I don't think the Eagles repeat this year. I think it's too hard to say going into the year that you would take the Eagles over the league if you're betting a future.
If you're betting, Eagles versus the field. The field's always a better bet. I mean, even if it's Kansas City against the field, I think you take the field.
I'll say this: looking at their schedule, the NFC East hasn't had a repeat champion in more than 20 years.
In division, you mean?
What's that?
In division, you mean division champ?
Yeah. What did I say?
I'm just trying to understand.
Oh yeah, no. The NFC East has had a different champion every year since like 2004. Washington's going to be tough, but they also have the possibility of a sophomore slump. I think the Eagles have a very good chance to win the NFC East again. I would take the Eagles against the rest of the field in the East based on the schedule. I like how much they're in prime time, but you expect that with the defending champs.
Yeah.
And I think it looks good for 11, 12 wins, if not more.
The one thing that was interesting to me, and I probably would not have noticed it because I wouldn't examine it all that much, but I heard on the radio, they don't have back-to-back home games this year.
Yeah, no back-to-back home games.
That's a strange thing. They open with Dallas. That's a big rivalry game. It's a division game, week 1. There's the whole Super Bowl celebration. There's probably a concert on Wednesday because, the NFL does that pretty big.
Yeah.
But then they have Kansas City week 2 and the NFC West champion Rams in week 3. So they've got a tough 3-game stretch to open. And if you look at 3-game stretches, I examined the Bears schedule as a Bears fan. They have a tough first 3 games with Minnesota and Detroit, and then they have Dallas coming in.
And who knows what Dallas is going to have because they're getting Dak back from an injury. They brought in a great number 2 in Pickens.
Yeah.
The
Pittsburgh fans, I know they consider Pickens to be a little bit of a head case. So we can hope that he is a clubhouse issue by week 3.
Right.
Week 1 doesn't bother me. Week 3, I worry very much.
What do you think is just based on looking at the schedule? I love how we were making fun of the people who analyze the schedule, and now we're getting waist deep in analyzing.
That's our team, though. Look at that guy who was super into Jacksonville, Carolina. He has to be a Jaguar fan, and if he's not, what are you thinking? Who cares about the Jaguars? But see, we're Eagles and Bears fans, so it makes total sense.
Right.
Listen, I'm going to get to there in a second if you don't mind, because there's other Bears things that I want to talk about. It was 2 Thursdays ago. There was a guy named Seth Wickersham. He's writing a book called American Kings, Biography of a Quarterback, where he writes about all kinds of QBs. But the news picked up on Caleb Williams, Bears quarterback, allegedly having problems going to the Chicago Bears because his dad said that's where QBs go to die. Now, here's the thing with the book. Nothing is new there. Everybody knew. I think we talked about that before the draft. Yes, there was apprehension. There was a whole Eli Manning, San Diego trade. Are they going to force a trade? Is there that? And then he comes in and he throws for 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns as a rookie behind an offensive line that, despite the fact that we love them so much, has Geno Marchetti and Josh LaRock on them. Let's be honest. Can you see Josh LaRock trying to block J.J. Watt? So, I mean, that's what Caleb Williams has. And I knew Caleb's apprehension coming in. So all they're doing is trying to use these headlines and getting the people to talk about it to try to sell this book, which actually has some other cool things in it if you're a football fan. You don't have to go for the shock value, but, here we are. So the book, I wrote it down. They have information stories from John Elway, Johnny Unitas, Warren Moon, the Manning family, Steve Young, Kirk Cousins, Drake May. This is a cool book. but it hits the shelves on September 9th. This news story came out 2 weeks ago,
Good
middle of
birthday
May.
gift.
Middle of May. So here's the thing. The Bears season is going to hinge on the Monday night opener on September 10th, because this book drops on the 9th. If the Bears go out and lay an egg, and if Caleb Williams throws for like 175 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks, this book is going to be the story of the season. It just is. If they come out and they beat Minnesota, and I think Williams has to have a good – if they lose to Minnesota but Williams still has a good game, he needs to have a good game. It'll be fine. But this game has the potential to be the Washington Hail Mary in week 1. That Hail Mary destroyed the Bears season. It
did. Because they were kind of up and down, for the first third of the season last year.
It could have been 4-1.
But I mean, they almost beat they almost beat Detroit. They almost beat Green Bay. Like they came close in a very tough division. But yeah, they
arguably the toughest.
They definitely seem to hang their head. Not only the Hail Mary, but just like everyone knows about like the cockiness of
Oh yeah, the corner
chirping at the crowd a little bit before the ball snapped. I'll say this about the Caleb Williams thing, and not to get on a big liberal soapbox here, but I do think there's a racial element to it, because you mentioned Eli Manning, and he didn't.
I think he got ripped in the media for acting the way he did.
I don't think it was to this degree.
No,
or Elway.
Elway, I think, might have been a byproduct of when it was like in the early '80s, when print media was still number one and we didn't know what was going on at a second's notice. I think if John Elway were at Stanford now with social media and information at our fingertips, it might be different. But that might have something to do with it. I think the bigger thing is Caleb Williams' father's right. And name the last good Chicago quarterback.
They've never had a fourth. It's like the tweet I sent you when they named the Pope, that Chicago produced a Pope before it produced a 4,000-yard passer.
Yeah. Now, nice. Like, we had the whole quarterback comparison between Williams and Daniels, and how I get irritated when Chris Canty tells me that, the Bears screwed up by not drafting him, and they screwed up even more by not drafting Patrick Mahomes. I just want to tell him, like, I want you to go watch the Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl against the Eagles. That's what he would have looked like in Chicago, getting pressured, throwing interceptions. Like, Caleb Williams came in, like I said, through 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns behind you and me at guard and tackle. And they've revamped the offensive line, 1. They've brought in an offensive-minded coach, 2. So there's reason to be optimistic in Chicago. I looked at their schedule, and we'll do the whole schedule preview thing maybe in August, but I think 10 wins last year was attainable. I think 10 wins is attainable this year, but I could also see 7 because they play in a very, very tough division. I could see them losing games to Detroit and Green Bay that they should win at home. I could see them, struggling against Dallas at home. They're so weird. I don't know.
Well, I think it's in Chicago's favor that there are now question marks about the other teams in their division, because Detroit got, poached their coaching staff. They lose their offensive and defensive coordinators. Minnesota, JJ McCarthy.
McCarthy's a big thing in Minnesota. You're right.
Yeah, coming in off an injury, essentially a rookie still. The NFC North was the best division by far in football last year, but it's a little in flux for a division that produced 3 teams that had double-digit wins.
And the NFL is built on parity, where, they give you the whole spiel about you have a last-place schedule. The Bears don't have a last-place schedule.
The Giants have a last-place schedule, and I think I saw it's the 5th hardest schedule post-2010.
And it's because now they have divisions playing divisions. So the easiest schedule by percentage, I think, is San Francisco. And San Francisco just gave Brock Purdy a boatload of money. So Uh, they could theoretically be players in the NFC. I had this written down. I thought this was interesting. The Bengals will travel a league low 8,753 miles this year, 2,000 fewer than the next ranked. The
That would
Los
make
Angeles
sense for-
Chargers go the furthest, 24,000 miles.
That would make sense, though, for a team in the Midwest to have the least travel.
They don't have any international games. That's
Right.
a
No
big thing.
international games and no coast to coast.
So, but I don't know who Washington is. I think they might be a trendy pick. I would still pick Philadelphia in the NFC East. Well, we'll see when there's that cool website that lets you pick game by game. I'll do that maybe late July, early August when we hit that part of the Soup and Meatball schedule. But I mean, we're now firmly in baseball season. So
can I ask just to bring up how many wins did you have Cincinnati winning last year?
The first time I went through that, I was like,
16.
I think I gave them 15.
15.
Like Burrow and Chase and Hendricks. Oh, and I'm going to give them 13 wins this year too. What am I saying? They're traveling a league low 8,000 miles. Like
it's got to mean something.
It means something, whether it means anything important or not. I have no idea. Don't listen to me.
Let's see what Joe Burrow's hair looks like. If he looks like Ellen DeGeneres again, I'm giving him 7 wins.
They won 8 or 9 last year, so they give them 8 or 9. So it's been a while. The last show we had, I was looking forward to a Yankees Mets Subway Series. The big news now, Major League Baseball, it's the Yankees and Dodgers. And the other big news out of Dodger camp, if you saw, Ohtani started throwing batting practice. The first time in 2 years he faced live hitting.
And I got a chance to watch him last night on Apple TV. That was a fun game, especially Judge and Ohtani going deep in the first inning.
Yeah, the first time 2 MVPs homered in the same inning. That's
hard to believe.
Except, Shohei added another one in the 6th and knocked out Fried. Fried pitched really well. The numbers don't show it. I think he had some runners on that were like inherited runners that scored. He left the game with a 5-2 lead. The bullpen kind of imploded. But, I mean, we'll pull out the Yankee World Series Cup now. our rematch. One of the guys I work with said, if the Yankees sweep the Dodgers, then the series is 4-4. We can play the best of 9. Well, that doesn't work anymore now. Yeah. New York has had they've been on a good run. We'll talk about here in a little bit. But as far as Ohtani pitching again, that he said a couple of weeks he could start to work his way into the rotation. Do you think the Dodgers want to do that with him?
No. I would be very, very, very slow in bringing him back to pitch. It's the very definition of a luxury because they're
especially
so talented and so deep they don't need to risk his arm health. It feels greedy to be like, we're not happy with our reigning MVP 50-50 international superstar. We want him to do more. I'll give you. I get the temptation because he's so good on the mound.
I'll give you the temptation right here. Last week when I was looking at the PCOTA standings, the analytics, I'm looking at it right now. Last week was the first time I had seen the computer giving the Dodgers fewer than 100 wins. Right now, they're at 99.9 projected wins. And as weird as it to say, in the National League West, that might not be good enough to win the division.
Did you see what they have the Rockies? How many wins do they give the Rockies?
The Rockies, they're not the worst team ever. They project them with 43 wins. I think the White Sox had 41 last year. They've already been mathematically eliminated from winning the division, winning the wild card, or making the playoffs in any capacity.
See, the Rockies are why we need relegation.
As are the White Sox are mathematically computerized eliminated, as are the Athletics of Sacramento and the Marlins. The Pittsburgh Pirates, though, the Pittsburgh Pirates have a 0.1% chance of making the playoffs. Do you believe that?
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Now, I'm going to throw this at you because I saw this on the old the internets. Would you call it TikTok the internet? Because, I mean, it's out there. So there's a lot of talk, especially this past week, whether or not the Pittsburgh Pirates should trade Paul Skeens. This reminds me of 2018 when the Pirates were shopping Garrett Cole. And I found this article. I want to quote this because this is gross. Listen to this. This is straight off of MLB.com. The world champion Houston Astros have boosted their rotation with another big arm, acquiring Garrett Cole from the Pittsburgh Pirates in a 5-player trade, yada, yada, yada. Before sending Cole to Houston, the Pirates had extensive trade talks with the New York Yankees. Sources familiar with the discussions told Jerry Krasnick that New York held the line on including prospects Gleyber Torres, Justice Sheffield, Estevan Florial, or Miguel Andujar in any trade. Those were the people that kept Garrett Cole out of New York early and sent him to Houston. So the Pirates dealt their major pitcher to the defending World Series champions. And Tim, guess who has the number 4 rated minor league system in all of baseball? The reigning, defending, undisputed World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, as far as ranked by MLB.com in the preseason, Detroit is number 1. They're a possibility. Can you imagine Skeens and Skubal back to back?
I was going to say, and Detroit's already been red hot.
Insanely. I have something about them too that's nuts. Tampa is number 2. I think we can count them out. That's a no. Boston is number 3, but because of injuries, like they're starting to call some of those guys up.
Yeah.
So the one video I saw, it's a Red Sox reporter on TikTok. They're like, who hangs up first? Paul Skeens from Pittsburgh, and they listed like 4 or 5 prospects and Walker Buehler from Boston. And I don't know enough about the Boston system that I don't know. But like I just listed off Justice Sheffield and Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar for Garrett Cole when he was 27 years old. Dude, prospects get you fired. Go get Skeens if you can.
I mean, and how old is Skeens right now? Is he 23?
That's a
24?
great question. And my producer is telling me he was born on May 29th. So 2 days ago, he had a birthday.
Belated happy birthday, Paul Skeens.
23 years old. And his mustache is 17 years old.
Yeah. That mustache is like drinking in the woods before prom.
With a flannel.
Yeah.
No. He needs the curly-haired mullet and the jean jacket, but still. The thing that worries me about him, and I would empty the minor league system, go get him. It's his delivery, and yeah. I think his elbow is just.
He really buggy whips his arm. It's a violent delivery.
But until that time, though, man, I mean, yeah, are you really going to hold on to Justice Sheffield and Miguel Andujar?
Well, and I mean that's the gamble with any pitcher in 2025. And you're waiting for their arm to fall apart.
Here's the shame of it, the bummer of it, rather. Here we have the Pittsburgh Pirates, who Picotta thinks is going to win 67 games this year. Their fans, I know some Pirates fans, absolutely fed up with ownership. Bob Nutting's been the principal owner since 2007. And in those 17 seasons, if we take 2020 out, they've averaged 74 wins. And they've made the playoffs 3 times. They lost in the divisional series once. They lost 3-2, and then they lost a wild card, that one game play-in that they used to have. They were in that twice. But they've only had 3 managers in that time. Can you believe that? 3 managers, 17 years in an era where we've only averaged 74 wins.
They're like a bizarro world Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, where like the Steelers are, but Tomlin always finishes above 500. He makes the
Right.
playoffs.
Yeah.
I could
The
see that.
Pirates are just like rubber stamping contract extensions for managers who deliver, 10 games under 500 every year.
Derek Shelton just got fired a couple of weeks back. He's had the longest leash ever. Like that, that's where managers go to just hang out, I guess.
Well, because management for the Pirates is cheap and seemingly disinterested. I don't. I think they haven't fired more managers because they don't want to be bothered hiring new candidates. Like truly. Like I know they own some like newspapers, and I know people who've worked at their newspapers who've complained about how cheap they are. Like to the point that they don't provide reporters notebooks in their newsrooms.
Wow, dude, I got notebooks when I worked in TV. The cool like the long ones that say like media on them, because like no other human could possibly write on this paper.
Did you have a fedora with a piece of paper sticking out that said press?
Press, yeah. No, that's the radio guys did that.
And you ran around saying, "What a scoop!"
The scoop would be, if Bob Nutting sells his ownership. What was it a couple years ago? Does Mark Cuban have ties to Pittsburgh? I thought he did. He had ties to Western PA somehow, some way. Maybe, and a lot of Pirates fans were like, "Dude, if he buys the team, maybe he'll spend some money." It's a lower mid market. They have a beautiful stadium, I guess.
And the problem is, every other sports team in Pittsburgh has had like the ultimate success in the last
relative success. Yeah,
you've had
in our
Bowl
lifetime
championships. You've had a Stanley Cup or two, and for the Penguins, and it just underscores how cheap. have I mentioned the Pirates' ownership is cheap? But just how unsuccessful the Pirates have been since the Barry Bonds days. Well, the Andrew McCutchen days.
Yeah. I've complained openly about Hal Steinbrenner, about how he's not his father. However, last offseason, allegedly, the New York Yankees offered Juan Soto north of $700 million. Now, Juan Soto decides he's going to take the money across town, and arguably it hasn't really worked out very well. And the guys that came in instead of Soto, the Max Frieds, the Cody Bellingers, the Paul Goldschmidts, have performed to a point where, like, the Yankees have a 7-game lead in the East. Like, they're playing
having
well.
A nice season.
They're playing well without him.
And like 350.
Who's that?
Goldschmidt.
Yeah, he's
like 340, 350.
I don't know if he's doing that well. There's one way to find out, though.
Ask our producer.
Yeah, he's telling me currently Goldschmidt's batting 343. Amazing. He must have been on a hot streak. The last time I looked at all of our batting averages, it was Judge was in like the 400s, and then everybody else was like close to 280 or below.
I must have seen Goldschmidt's betting average when I was watching last night.
But either way, I mean, Juan Soto, by Juan Soto's standards, is struggling, and the Mets are still winning because of everybody else. The pitching they've gotten. We talked preseason. I don't know about I thought the Mets lineup was going to be great. The rotation was kind of iffy. They're getting good pitching. If Juan Soto starts hitting, holy cow, the Mets could be they could be a problem.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I still like the Phillies. The Phillies have had a rough start to the season, and they're still, very. Are they leading the East?
Right now, the Phillies are. I thought the Mets were.
The Phillies had been leading maybe last week at some time.
The Mets were up like by 2 or 3 games, but the Phillies are they're 7-3 in their last 10. They have a game lead over the Mets right now. And the Phillies actually have the best record in the National League. So,
that's with a very leaky bullpen. But if the Phillies can figure out, how to protect leads with that offense, they are a very dangerous team.
I have no no argument there, except I had chosen the Braves to win the division, and I think they are on a collision course post All-Star break to just win 70% of their games and take that division down.
Like they did last year.
Yeah. The Braves right now, though, playing the Red Sox, and they can't beat the Red Sox. So
Yeah, I got to watch them last night too. It was an Apple TV doubleheader.
there you go. Was that the Yankee game on Apple TV?
Yeah,
I was too lazy
Red
to turn
Sox
Apple
Braves,
TV on.
Red Sox Braves was the 7 o'clock, and then the West Coast Yankees at Dodgers.
If I hit the button on my remote, it usually gives me a watch icon. And if I don't see the watch icon, I'm like, I guess I'll put on. I tried to put on MLB Network, but they must have had like a Pirates or an Orioles game because it was blacked out.
Oh yeah.
Which, I mean, it's stupid. So I think I turned on the Pirates Padres game on that network. I put it on mute and I just doom scrolled TikTok for a while. And I saw a highlight of it this morning, a very poor strike three call against the Pirates. Like when you're struggling that much and a ball is a foot off the plate and you get rung up on it, it's one of those seasons for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And Boston, we'll talk Boston stuff for you. I know they've gotten they've gotten hurt with injuries. I know last week they took 2 or 3 against the Mets. I don't feel bad about that. But then they got kind of brought back down to earth with Baltimore. What do they have to do to get back into this?
They're playing kind of how I expected before my expectations got raised. Like I kind of felt like this was a team that would, win 80 games, 82 games, play 500 ball. They're so streaky. One game they'll hit throughout the lineup. The next, they'll get shut out the next 3 games. They can't seem to string anything together, inning to inning or game to game. There's just no rhyme or reason to their season except the injuries, and that Devers won't play first base.
If I look at their schedule right now, I mean, the streaky that was a bad streak. They broke a 5-game losing streak. And when you're losing to Baltimore and Milwaukee's a mid-tier team as well. It gets slightly easier. I mean, they play the Angels at home, but then June 6th. So it'll be that series for our next show. It's the first time they play New York.
Oh, okay. Is that a weekend series, I'm assuming?
Yeah. June 6th. June 6th, 7, 8 is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So they're probably Sunday night baseball that week.
Yeah. You're throwing Crochet according to how things should work out. You're throwing Crochet game 2. The Yankees don't have a pitcher in there. So I don't know. Let me see if I go to the Yankee schedule if it's any different. No. So, I mean, it won't be Fried because he's scheduled to pitch against the Indians on the Guardians. It slips. Cleveland, the Thursday before the Boston series. And I wonder if Boston were in second place, is that a reason why you manipulate the rotation a little bit? Let Warren pitch against Cleveland and let Fried pitch against Boston. But I have a feeling that Boone will probably just keep it status quo.
Yeah, at this point in the season, I think the consistency is more important than juggling things around for one series.
But, I mean, this is the only time that the Yankees and Red Sox will play in the first half. I got to stop this dinging, so let's get that out of there.
Mr. Popularity over here.
Yeah, amazing. In the second half, we have 4 home games against Boston and then 3 road games against Boston. That's it. Are you telling me we only played 10 times? Remember back in the day, you played your division 19 times? It was ridiculous. They were always playing each other.
Have they increased the amount of interleague?
They must
decreased in division.
They must have. And again,
Well,
we didn't analyze
interleague.
the schedule when it came out. So second half,
Yeah,
I mean,
we should have watched that 2-hour Major League Baseball schedule release episode.
3 against the Braves, 3 against the Marlins, 3 at St. Louis. Then they're home against the Nationals. They have a lot against. They have 7 of their last 10 games are against the Orioles, and they throw like 3 games with the White Sox in there.
They probably expected the Yankees and Orioles to be.
I did. I mean, I thought the Orioles were going to
contenders
win the division. I thought the Orioles were going to win the division.
Same here.
But I mean, so we have ending the first half of July. So going backwards, they have the Cubs, they have the Mets, they have the Reds. They're playing the Dodgers currently. So yeah, they've certainly expanded interleague play, and that's a discussion for another day maybe.
Where's the All-Star game this year? I forget. Who's hosting?
2025. I can get tickets. Where is it? Atlanta, Truist Park.
Okay. That's always been a big bucket list item for me. I love the Major League Baseball All-Star game.
I used to like the home run derby.
I still like the home run derby. Although I keep saying they should let them use aluminum bats for the derby.
You got to clear out the bleachers then, because these guys have exit velocities of 120 with wooden bats.
Wood, yeah.
They get, or you got to give everybody like catcher's mitts and catcher's gear.
Yeah, have them just put them in like hockey goalie equipment.
I mean, what does Aaron Judge do to a baseball? Do you remember the picture I showed you a couple weeks ago of the college player?
Yeah,
and like the ball was like indented. The ball might not go anywhere; it might just explode at home plate.
Just give him one of those old like 80s Easton aluminum bats that every little league team has.
The green lettering.
The green lettering on the barrel.
I've seen those pictures online. Like I had that bat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, dude. So good stuff out of there. And the last big thing in Major League Baseball, it's been a couple of weeks, but we didn't talk about it. The interesting news that Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred released, he said that we're going to remove deceased players from the permanently ineligible list. So this includes people like Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson. Manfred said, obviously, a person who is no longer with us cannot represent a threat to the integrity of the game. So, Tim, do you agree with that a person no longer with us is no longer a threat?
Yeah. And I'm a little mixed on this because I'd really like to see Joe Jackson get in. Wow. I just do not like Pete Rose but
if you have a vote, are you voting for Jackson and not voting for Rose?
Yes.
Okay.
I just feel like you can have the Hall of Fame without honoring Pete Rose individually. You can have him in there as part of the Big Red Machine. You can have the bat that he hit, broke Ty Cobb's record with.
I tell people he's in the Hall of Fame already. The last time I was there, I checked. They have a wall of records, and there he is, #1 all-time hits. Like,
yeah.
It's there.
How do you feel about him getting inducted?
I the same way I feel about the steroid guys. I bounce back and forth. I can see both sides of this so clearly that I'm glad I don't have to make the decision. I don't have a vote on it. When people say, how can you possibly have a Hall of Fame without Pete Rose? So there's 2 different aspects to the Hall of Fame. And I've been there enough times that, you have the Hall of where you honor the people with the plaques. Like that area is like over here. And then over here is the museum of the game.
Right.
I don't know how you tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose, because you can't. He has 8,427 hits and whatever. He is in the museum. Like you said, you can see the bat. It's there. They're not hiding him.
4,256, by the way.
I was really close. But because of the stain, there's the honoring part of it. I'm okay with him not there. And when people say, well, he only bet on his team to win, did he bet 162 times? No. He might have bet 90 times. What was he doing the other 60 games? Was he managing differently because he knew he didn't bet on them, but he was going to bet on them tomorrow? Did he hold back this guy in the bullpen? Did he leave this guy in? You can't answer the questions, unfortunately, because Pete Rose is no longer with us.
And I think that's the biggest distinction for me, is that all evidence seems to indicate that Joe Jackson took money but didn't throw games. And he expressed that thought till he died.
I don't know enough about Jackson. I only know about from the movies.
With Pete Rose,
375.
Pete Rose denied it. Then when he thought it would get him into the Hall of Fame, he admitted it.
I think Joe Jackson might have been. They said it was like a lack of education. He didn't know what he was doing. Could Joe Jackson read? And this is me being an honest. That's an honest question. I don't know. I think I lost you. Uh-oh. Here we go. Once per show. Yeah, he's out. Well, so we'll get Tim back here in a second. For some reason I remember. I thought I saw something that Shoeless Joe Jackson didn't finish school, and that he may not have understood what agreement he was getting into or whatever. But according to Kevin Costner and Field of Dreams, he went out and hit 375 in that World Series. And how are you going to tell me that he's trying to throw the series? I don't know. It's a tough pill to swallow. It really is. But as it is, Manfred has them back, and we'll see what the writers say when the first Hall of Fame ballot comes out, and we'll see if we got our boy Tim back in here. Here he comes. Blame the Wi-Fi.
Hey, was my Wi-Fi.
You got to pay the bill, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to say to that.
The last question I asked, and it was a legitimate question because I don't know and I wasn't going to look it up, was Joe Jackson educated? Could he read?
From everything I know about him, he wasn't educated. I don't know if he could read, but he was always like kind of described as being like a simple farm boy.
So maybe he didn't understand the agreement that he was getting into, and the guy was just going to give him $20,000. Like, yeah, I'll take that. I'm just going to go play baseball.
And also, I mean, you have to understand like the financial hardship that players were in at that time, where they were working at gas stations in the off season.
Yeah. I forget. I think I really want to say it's Moose Scourin, but it could be Phil Rizzuto who said when a rookie would come into the Yankee clubhouse, they said something about you don't blank with my World Series money, because that was they needed that,
right?
So
it's like Clark Griswold's Christmas bonus.
Oh, the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
Jelly of the Month Club.
That's it's pretty nice, Clark. Something else that's pretty nice. This is something else. Until 2 Wednesdays ago, it had been 5 months since we talked here on Soup and Meatballs about any Ohio lawmakers who authorized a ridiculous bill solely to pander to Ohio State football fans. Now, you'll remember before it was about the flag planting legislation. Well, now it's going after television networks. I don't know if you saw this, Tim. Tex Fisher, Congress from Ohio, wants to create a rule that would punish the network or Big Ten Conference officials who puts a game that the Buckeyes are playing at noon, except for the Michigan game, which Fisher still wants to start at noon. This is as dumb as I can think of our government, Ohio's government, whatever. Ohio taxpayers are footing the bill, and it's whether or not they don't like primetime games or not. And here's the thing: I'm an old school Gen Xer. Maybe it's just me.
I love a Saturday afternoon game.
I hate primetime games. I hate them. It's the old man in me that gets tired at 11 o'clock when I've just been up, doing a sports show at 10 or, watching football at noon. I don't want to watch a game until midnight. I just don't. And also, I'll go even one further here for you. What time do you think I woke up today?
6:30.
I woke up at 5:46. I just woke up. Now, what does that mean?
Farmer McGregor.
What is that? By 11 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be tired. And my wife, God bless her, she is like the opposite. She will stay up all night. And then like in the morning, she's like, how are you awake? I'm like, I just am. My body understands, there's no work. So let's get up and play. And it's actually a good thing I was up. So a little side note here for you. Next year, I'm running the high school radio station. Yay.
Oh.
But it's a low power station, and we had a power surge at the high school, and the radio station shut off. So I had to go in and like hit a couple buttons and had to turn it back on. But that was at 6:30. But I was just up. So these primetime games are just But can you imagine making a law? What do you think about the law that Ohio has?
So who was the congressperson?
Tex Fisher. I think it's state Congress. It's not like he's not in DC. He's in Columbus or wherever.
Anyone who's for small government should be against this. For the government to think it needs to step into police football broadcasting just for one lawmaker's personal preference.
But it's not. And here's the thing. I've seen TikToks and other stuff that people want the Michigan-Ohio State game to move to primetime. It's college football. It's supposed to be played at noon.
Yeah. It's
I am now old man yelling at cloud.
Sometimes primetime makes the event greater, but in the case of Michigan-Ohio State, the time comes to Michigan-Ohio State. The game is the draw, not the game time.
Like even Chuck Norris would agree with that. Like he's like the time comes to them. It's like, Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He just pushes the earth down.
Right. Like it's like the same way that like it would feel weird not having the Lions or Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
But and those games are early. Why don't we put the Cowboys at 10:30 at night? So, gosh, it just feels wrong, and to introduce a bill like this feels petty and stupid and unnecessary. Pandering to Ohio State football fans, but I don't know how. I didn't check to see if it was voted on or any of that silly stuff. What was voted on from college football last Thursday, the College Football Selection Committee, or whoever you want to call them, that they make the playoffs, they're going to change the bracket now. I don't know if you saw this. They're going to go with the straight 1 through 12. Nothing to do with conference champions. So right now on the screen, you see this is what the bracket looked like going into the playoffs last year, where you had Boise State and Arizona State getting the bye. Had the seeding model been in place last year, Oregon, Georgia are still 1 and 2, but Texas would have been 3 and Penn State would have been 4, which is interesting because if you look at the Final Four that we got a really weird mishmash of seeds, 5 versus 8, Texas versus Ohio State, and the 6-7 game was Penn State, Notre Dame. So, like, there were no 1, 2, 3, 4s in the Final Four. How would you make the playoffs if you were doing it? Do you like the straight seeding, or do you give the conference champions the bye?
I think you need to reward conference champions. Why else? Like, otherwise, what's the point to winning your conference except having another game where your players have to hit heads?
Conference championship game, which might be outdated in this model, because who won the national championship last year? Those guys. Did they play in the conference championship game? No. That was Oregon, Penn State.
Yeah, I think if you're
Notre Dame doesn't have a conference championship game. Look at Notre Dame; they're hanging out at 7.
Right, and I think it's college football would be hamstringing itself if it doesn't try to incentivize winning your conference.
The problem, though, And this is where I saw some articles about the automatic bid, because now they're throwing words out like automatic bid, like it's the March Madness dance, where the SEC and the Big Ten are saying, why is the ACC going to get 3 teams? And I can somewhat agree. Can you even name 3 teams in the ACC that would be eligible for this tournament outside of SMU and Clemson snuck in because I think they won their conference title.
Right.
But where the SEC and the Big Ten have the argument is they're deeper, like Mississippi versus SMU. Who's a better team? If you look at, you get Ohio, Michigan, Penn State, who's like the 4th best in the Big Ten?
Who did you say? Michigan, Oregon, Ohio State.
Oregon. Oh, I forgot about Oregon. I said Ohio, Penn State, Michigan, like usually the big 3, but you got Oregon in there now. So like,
and USC, depending on the year.
Goodness. So I don't know. I tend to agree with you. I would favor a conference champion, even if it's the Big 12 or the ACC. I think winning a conference matters. And I think Ohio proved that it doesn't matter if you get the bye or not. You go out, you win the game you're played. Actually, it might be a benefit to play that extra game, because if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, they didn't do so well, did they?
Yeah, for all the SECs talk about how deep they are, this isn't the SEC of 2015.
No, not at all. Well, NIL has changed that, thankfully.
Yeah, and to think that you can't get a champion from what's considered a non-power conference, I think is outdated thinking.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, in order for a non-power team to win the tournament, they've got to win 1, 2. They got to win 3 games. I don't know. And SMU might be in a power conference, but they don't feel like a power team. I don't see SMU winning this tournament ever. Even if them beating Penn State, I don't see them beating Georgia or anybody in the top bracket. I think they're the kind of team you get that one upset. They're the Davidson or the Butler in basketball. Look at that, a name I've never heard of.
I think though that those are the moments that the NCAA would want, like what we got with Arizona State last year.
I would agree with that absolutely, but they want the money. They want the big name. They want the Ohio, the Notre Dame, the Michigan, the Alabama. At the end of the day, in basketball, they're all about we want Cinderella to win on weekend 1. But then we want the 1 seeds in the Final Four, and I don't know. I just want Michigan to be there. I don't care who they play.
I'm very excited for this Michigan season, by the way.
I think the offense is going to be something special, but that's future Max and Tim's problem. A lot of football though in our quick hit segment. I actually added another one at the very end because I was watching a video before the show. We'll see what you say about this. Number 1, last Friday, I don't know if you saw this. Last Friday, the TV show Around the Horn broadcast its final episode. Did you watch Around the Horn at all? Were you a fan?
I was never a big fan. I liked PTI, but I found the Around the Horn obnoxious.
So the big question here was, do ends of shows bum you out? Like for me, it's sometimes. So like if Sorry We're Closed. Excuse me, I got to cry for a little here.
Yeah.
But then like there's other ones that just, okay, it's over.
Yeah, I'm with you where sometimes it is very bittersweet because, a TV show's, a 7, 8, 9 year investment, So yeah, it is bittersweet.
Around the Horn went 4,953 shows. You and I, we're at 33.
Slow and steady.
Ways to go, but check this out. They did about 25 minutes of content per show. So do the math. It's 123,825 minutes of content. At 32 shows in, we average 120 minutes each. So we're at about 38:40, give or take. So we'll catch up faster than you think.
I got my sights on you, Woody Page.
Number 2. Oh, Woody Page's chalkboard that said "See you around." That was the Sorry We're Closed for me. And like I never really I didn't have a connection with that show aside from when I was at YLN. Our show started at 5, our news was at 5, and then they also went on at 5. So as the news was going, I knew I had 11 minutes before I had to get onto the set. So I used to watch their A block, and the Woody Page chalkboard I thought was really neat. And I liked Woody, but I he's a Boston guy, but I really like Bob Bryan. But I didn't have like an emotional connection to it until the chalkboard that said "See you around." I'm like, man, that's a bummer. All right, number 2. I didn't even know this was a thing. Nicholas, and maybe it's not, maybe it's AI, maybe I was fooled. Nicholas Cage. I saw a picture of Nicholas Cage as John Madden in a new movie about John Madden. Would you go see Nicholas Cage play John Madden?
Absolutely.
Did I get faked, or is that a thing? Do you know?
I don't know. I saw the same thing because I forget. Was it Christian Bale as Al Davis?
I don't.
And
That's
Nicolas
what
Cage
I'm saying.
as John Madden.
But it was Nicolas Cage as John Madden. Boom, right there.
Yeah, I would definitely watch that.
I think that would be an entertaining movie. I'd go with you. Number 3. Speaking on the Pat McAfee show, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said his dream NFL season would consist of 2 preseason games and 18 regular season games. Tim, when's enough?
Where 16 was enough. It feels very. I'm the kind of guy who I need things just so.
I'm out. I have a guest here. Hello. I'm doing soup and meatballs right now. How you doing? Okay, just text me when you get there. No problem. The 17 people here are like, hey, it's my dad.
Hey, Mr. Jamali.
Well, you're driving, so you wouldn't have got it. Text me when you get there. Usually, when your dad calls, you can figure out what the heck's going on. So, I'm with you. 16 is.
Having an odd number, 17 games, just doesn't sit right with me. But it's already too long. And to make 18 games.
18 games, international travel. That's a lot. Now, here's the other thing. I get it. People don't like preseason games. You know who likes preseason games? Front offices. A, they make money, but B, you can evaluate your players in a real game situation and find out who you want on your 53-man roster. If watching Hard Knocks has taught me nothing else, it's that those preseason games matter. Maybe not to you or I, but to them.
And they are money makers. Where you're not putting you
have to pay full ticket
stars
price, and that's where fans get upset. Like, why am I paying full ticket price to go see, Joe Nobody?
Yeah, some future gym teacher try to be the third string guard for the New Orleans Saints.
But you know what? A couple of years ago on one of these networks, there was a show called No, it wasn't Pros versus Joes. It was a reality show that the Dallas Cowboys were having to try to make the team, right? And they did this all kinds of awful things to these players. Like, they made them run. I think the guy ran like 3 marathons around Dallas Stadium. Like, there's like the last person to quit is not going to get eliminated. So they just ran forever. But that guy, was his name Holly? Holly was a wide receiver. He made the team on special teams. But how? In the preseason, he busted his tail. So a guy like him, who's not a first-round pick, could absolutely make a difference in a game, forcing a fumble on a kickoff or a punt. So I do not care about – now, maybe 4 preseason games is a lot, but 3 is fine. You don't play your starters in one of them. Let those guys trying to find a job go try to find a job. That's just me.
I do enjoy like watching preseason games on TV for that reason.
It's also you haven't seen football in a while, so you're football starved. You'll watch it.
Right, but I also don't know that I would go because like preseason tickets are $50-$60 still.
No, I wouldn't go.
I wouldn't do that.
I don't go to regular season games either, though. So
yeah.
All right, here we go. Now, next one. Regarding the international games, the increased slate, on the same podcast, Goodell said he plans for those to grow in regularity, saying he wants a full schedule of at least 16 international games per season. Tim, is this a good thing or a bad thing or just a thing?
It's just a thing. It doesn't
deal with
it. It doesn't add to my joy to know that there's a game being played at Wembley. We had
a couple shows where like the game was going on during the show.
Yeah,
I think was it the Giants and Panthers?
the only way it improves my life is because I get like a 10 a.m. game.
I mean, when I
But
wake up at 6 in the morning, I got to do something
yeah, but I mean the players hate it. I don't blame them.
with them.
It's
All right.
it's such a hit to the routine too, because players talk in season how important routine is, and now when you're like, oh, and then next week we're playing in Sao Paulo.
Time
Like,
zone, they talk about you going from the west to the east, like going from LA to New York. Now we're going to send you to Tokyo or Berlin or wherever.
yeah, it's as disruptive to the schedule as it could be.
All right, next one, number 4. The Indianapolis Colts. Now remember, this is a little old now. Some of these quick hitters. The Indianapolis Colts posted a video with their schedule release, and then they deleted it an hour later. It was a Minecraft thing, which is really cool. But they had a scene in this video where the Coast Guard drives up to a boat, and there was a dolphin wearing a Tyreek Hill jersey, and the Coast Guard arrests the dolphin. Is that a little too far with a schedule release video?
I think that's a little too provocative for something as benign as a schedule release video. I will say that Tyreek Hill laughed it off. He was like, I thought it was pretty funny. I don't think it's as bad as like when it happened. I think it kind of blew up, but now that we've got a little distance, I think everyone's
Yeah.
like, it's at worst a faux pas.
They deleted it at least an hour later, so they at least understood how dumb they were.
Bet you didn't know I speak French.
Ooh,
faux pas.
Un, deux, trois. I can be a
Tete-a-tete.
referee. I can referee professional wrestling in France. That's about it. Number 5. It is early in the WNBA season. Both the defending champion New York Liberty and Minnesota Lynx undefeated at 6-0. Caitlin Clark and her Fever are 2-4. And in a league where Clark and Angel Reese are being fed to us as rivals, the biggest story may have come out yesterday in Dallas. Number 1 pick Paige Beckers is going to miss at least 2 games after being placed in concussion protocol. Yeah, the Wings are 1-5. They're still trying to build, but like with a player like Beckers who had so many injuries, this can't feel good, can it?
No, and you hate to see it because you talk about her injury history, but also like just because the team's off to a slow start, the Fever got off to a slow start last year before they kind of mid-season rounded into shape and then ended up making the playoffs.
I think we can turn Beckers and Clark into a thing that Clark and Reese aren't going to be ever.
Unfortunately, Clark's hurt too because she strained.
I saw that
a leg. She's out 2 weeks. She's going to miss. They're supposed to have a big matchup with the Sky next weekend that she won't be suited up for.
I saw the ticket prices or ticket sales dropped by like 85%, which it's a bummer for the league. We talked about, when ESPN loses Major League Baseball next year, you're probably going to see the Fever on Sunday night with 20 times over the summer.
I mean, I watched the opener where the Fever played the Sky, and it was entertaining. I mean, Caitlin Clark, she's a draw for a reason. It's not just her shooting; she's such an imaginative passer.
Yeah,
like
such a table setter. She's nowhere near league leaders in scoring. I think she got hurt. She was averaging 19 a game, and some of the league leaders are averaging 27, 28. So, but she as far as all around players go, and points accounted for, but everybody knows her name, so she's got that marquee star value to her.
And I mean, she was top 5 in the MVP vote last year.
As a rookie.
Right. And I think you're seeing her value now where she's not on the court and the Fever are really struggling without her, even with all the additions they made in the offseason.
All right, here we go. Number 6, talking about struggling. This is the video I saw. No right answer to this. Tim, if I gave you personally, right now, a 1 pound weight, how many times do you think you could curl it with the same arm over a 24-hour period?
Over 24 hours?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2,000 times.
I don't. So the video showed this big bodybuilder guy. They never gave the number though. He's like, yeah, he just curled it all day. Then his arm was burning. And I like, well, tell us how many times it was. 2,000 seems kind of low, but
Yeah, I didn't want to overestimate because I think a lot of times when you ask, everyone thinks they're like a better athlete than they actually are. They're in better shape than they actually are.
here's the thing. So when I walk around my neighborhood, if I'm doing a 3-mile walk, there's sometimes I will take dumbbells with me. They're 5-pound dumbbells, and I will do sets of 10. I might do 30 sets of 10 in that. It's about an hour, so that's 300 right there, and that's 5 pounds. And my arms get they're sore. They're not like burning though. I could do more. I'm just lazy. So I'm giving you more than 2,000, but maybe that's something you can try for us next week. Just get a day. You're not doing anything. You're not busy. Just
right.
Chill. But then the next day you've got to do the other one for symmetry, right?
Right. I don't want to be.
Otherwise you'll look like Rigotti's left arm when we were bowling. When he had like this massive arm and then like nothing over here.
It was like his one arm had just gotten out of a cast. It was all atrophied.
Yes, absolutely ridiculous. Speaking of absolutely ridiculous, this is our favorite time of the show right now. It's draft time. Draft time. And
no shady business with this draft.
No. Well, I mean, we'll see. I don't know what kind of shady business the deck of famous American documents has for us. We are drafting this week books based on the fact that, the Bears season may or may not spiral out of control because of a book. We thought it might be interesting to draft our favorite sports-related books. So I don't have any other light on in here, so we're going to – hopefully this doesn't get washed out. Number and color.
I was going to say, I just bought a new sports book about the 92 Dream Team.
I'll
let
I
you
saw
know
that.
what I think about it.
I might have saw the book you're talking about. We were in when Derek did his district jazz in York. There was a Barnes and Noble that we took the kids to, and I just picked it up and started reading it. But yeah, let me know.
Yeah, I'll go
Number
4.
1,
black,
2, 3, and here's 4. Oh boy, it is the Ace of Diamonds. And the Ace of Diamonds is the Constitution of the United States. How is that not the Ace of Spades? The Constitution is the
every time I choose
law empowered with the sovereign authority of the people by the framers and the consent of the legislatures of the states. So, if you're wondering, the 9 of Spades is the Pacific Railway Act.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I'm self-admittedly, I'm about to tell you, I am not much of a book reader, and this goes back to my time. The first kind of book I used to like mysteries, and my dad gave me this anthology of Sherlock Holmes, and I told myself I'm going to solve this before he does, and I would read.
I had all the Sherlock Holmes books growing up.
Yeah? But I would read every paragraph like 85 times, looking for the stupidest clue. And it just made me a slow reader. It made me a nervous reader. And I'm intimidated. It's weird to say. I'm intimidated by the number of pages I have left, which means my favorite type of book was the choose your own adventure. Like, if you do this, go to page 96. The next thing you know, you're halfway through the book, and it doesn't feel like you have a lot left. I tried to read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because I love the movie. I'm like, dude, there's like 5 books. Yeah, I'll try this. So I got it on like the iPad, and I'm now intimidated by the percentage. Like, you're 1.2% of the way through. I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to finish this. So I will start out by saying, book-wise, I'm not a big book guy. I will read the internet. I will read magazines. I will read short things. I think part of it is an attention span thing. But I have a list, and I don't think we're going to double up too much. I think the first one is the only one that's going to be remotely close, and I feel bad taking it, but I'm going to. I'm going to take Mitch Albom's Fab Five because that book was one of the first books that I read that I actually really felt like I don't want to put this down because I was that interested in the content of it.
It's a very good book, and it was on my list too.
I figured all the other books I put, I think I'm safe. Like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 more. I'd be very surprised if you have any of them.
The only thing I'll say about Fab Five is that Mitch Albom was caught making up facts for like Tuesdays with Maury. He made up fact. He was a writer for the Detroit Free Press. He made
not columns. He didn't make up stuff for this book, did he?
There is some question about his reporting in this book.
That's a bummer. I like to think, though, that the amount of dedication to trash talk that Jalen Rose and Jimmy King had, that they would go look up stats on the other guy and they'd start like talking to themselves at the free throw line like, hey, man, you see this Tim guy? He's averaging 12 points a game. Yeah, and 2 rebounds, Max. Like, I'd like to think that's real.
It definitely captured how cool the Fab Five were for kids our age. Like, we were in like 7th, 8th grade, 8th, 9th grade, something like that when the Fab Five were going to the championships. And I mean, we wanted to dress like them. We wanted to listen to rap like them.
I still wear baggy shorts.
Me too.
I was listening to rap before. I
was listening to like some Beastie Boys. And then, like, I was listening.
Come over to my house. You'd have to listen to what I was listening to. So you were into third base. You listen to your own Public Enemy.
Like we were sitting in your house, like playing Tecmo Super Bowl and blasting like "Fight the Power."
Yeah, but what the book did for me, though, the book opened me up to. I had to go look up EPMD because that was Jalen Rose's favorite. Or do you remember the song they used to sing? It was a Ghetto Boys song.
Yeah, like in the pregame huddle.
You gotta let your nuts hang. I started buying Ghetto Boys CDs. Now, the Ghetto Boys were a group out of Houston, which is where Jimmy King and Ray Jackson were from. EPMD was a northern band, which is where Jalen and Juwan were from. So, like, geographically, they brought their own musical stylings in, but I didn't know it until I read the book. So it affected me culturally.
Ghetto Boys famous for the song "Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangsta," used in the movie Office Space.
Office Space. I think my favorite Ghetto Boy song was actually "My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me." Kids, don't listen to that, but adults, go check it out. It's a scary view into the deranged mind of Bushwick Bill. But so Fab Five is my first book, and I'm going to talk about ghetto gangster rap.
I'm gonna go. I don't know if this one is on your list, but it's such a good book. It's so readable. It's Ball 4.
Is that the Jim Bouton?
Yeah, Jim Bouton.
Bouton. It did not make the list. My dad has a copy of it.
It's so good. It's so funny, and it was very controversial because like a lot of players were like, the clubhouse is sacred. And for you to talk about what goes on in there, the Major League Baseball like tried to ban the book and suppress the book because there was talk about cheating on wives and taking amphetamines and,
pulling back the curtain of things that we didn't know or didn't expect. That has not made didn't make my list, but again, this goes to it's not my wheelhouse. That sounds interesting enough, though. You know what? I might pull it out because
it's very funny. You should definitely give it a read. And even though it was written in the early 70s, it's still applicable.
Okay, cool. All right, so. The next book I'm going to go with, so my number 2, I forget when I read this. I forget why it was, if it was for school or whatever. But one of my favorite athletes of all time, the book is called Bo Knows Bo. Oh, and it was written, Bo Jackson wrote it with Dick Schaap. And Dick Schaap is just a freaking legend. So anything that he writes It is written well, and it was another example of I don't know if I want to go to bed because I want to see this. And the cool thing I remember is Bo talking about doubles in high school, about how he'd go to practice, then he'd ride his bike over to his girlfriend's house, and go back to practice. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm dead tired, and I'm like this 18th string backup, whatever. Bo Jackson is out here doing Bo things. Wow. It was a cool, and it's been like since 7th, 8th grade, I think, since I've read it. Yeah, but the Bo Knows Bo book is worth checking out if you've never seen it before.
And I mean, I love Bo Jackson.
Doesn't.
I know.
If you don't read the book, then you will.
Because you had the picture of you in your shoulder pads like Bo Jackson with the bat over your shoulder.
No, Bo Jackson is so yoked. And when I took this picture, I think it was in 8th grade, and I was like 120 pounds.
Yeah, Bo Jackson's like 240, like 3% body fat.
The total. It was 8th grade. I know it was 8th grade because they were my 8th grade shoulder pads with the wooden softball bat that my dad must have had. Yeah,
and like your very first chest hair.
I don't think Bo Jackson has chest hair in his thing, but he also benches 600 in that picture. I don't think there's any. There has to be evidence of that picture. I think maybe my sister has it in one of the old boxes. But
Roseanne, if you're watching,
can you find
your
picture?
homework assignment?
I mean, I'll put it up on the Soup and Meatballs Instagram page because who doesn't want to see that? After I Photoshop some muscles on myself.
Oh no, I went to the wrong list.
That could be problems.
For my number 2 choice, I've got a couple good ones here, but I'm gonna go with Friday Night Lights by Buzz Bissinger.
Okay, and you know what? I don't think I read it. I think my wife had to read that for something in college.
It's a great book. It's so well reported, so well written, and just from having covered a lot of high school football, it felt so relatable to, a lot of what I was seeing in Pennsylvania high school football. And then obviously turned into a really good movie and then an absolutely fantastic TV show.
I was going to say, how close was the movie to the book? Because there's always artistic liberties there.
The movie is much closer to the book than the TV show is. The TV show.
I don't think the TV show it was not Clear Eyes, Full Hearts Can't Lose.
Yeah,
I don't think that had anything to do with the book at all.
It was really just kind of like inspired by the book, and Buzz Bissinger was an executive producer.
Yeah, okay, but the movie with like Billy Bob Thornton is the coach, and who's the running back that got hurt?
I forget his name in the book. It's Smash Williams in the TV show.
No, he had some kind of like really weird nickname. But the running back gets hurt. They lose. Perky Omen, is that the name of the school?
Yeah, it's not Perky Omen, but it's the. Oh my god, I can't remember the name. It starts with a P.
Okay, but I mean, so the movie with Billy Bob Thornton, I thought was more directly tied to the book than the series was. Did they get it close? Like, did they lose in the state finals? Or
yeah, they lose in the movie. Spoiler alert.
Movie Miles.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the name, and I didn't look it up either. Booby Miles, and his grandfather. That's oh god, if that doesn't break your heart, nothing will. Okay, no, that's good, man. Well, I have a basketball one. I have half football and half baseball, and the rest of the books are very largely baseball centric. I'm sure you're surprised. I'm going to take this one because I actually wrote to the author on Twitter, or I wrote about. Yeah, no, I did. I wished him a happy Father's Day, and he liked my tweet. I still have the email that says Paul O'Neill liked your tweet. Paul O'Neill wrote a book called Me and My Dad, which is like his autobiography about playing baseball. And in the book, he talks about how his dad would make pancakes every day, and he provides the pancake recipe at the end. I'm like, that's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
And I sent him I said, 2017, I wrote him I tweeted at him and I said, Happy Father's Day. I'm making my son pancakes. I don't know if I'll be able to use your dad's recipe though, or something like that. And he liked it. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
My only equivalent is when I tweeted at Sergeant Slaughter and he liked it.
That's amazing.
Because he was
That's
on the
amazing.
sidelines for an Eagles game for some reason. I can't even remember what I tweeted. Uh,
Uh,
but I got a like from Sergeant Slaughter, so he's my
but
Paul O'Neill.
you know what? Here, check it out. I have it. Like so.
Oh,
So if you're interested, I've had these books here for weeks. Papa Chuck's Pancakes, Hungry Jack Extra Light and Fluffy, egg whites mixed with corn oil, skim milk, mix the ingredients, add mashed up bananas or blueberries depending on your mood, throw in some food coloring for the kids. So I thought it was neat that, like Paul O'Neill knew I read his book, and I have some tickets in here. Ooh, look at this. Yankees Red Sox from 2004. Oh, good grief. Yankees Twins at Legends Field. So this is this was a minor league game. Oh, you know why they're in here? This is March 7th. This is a ticket to a spring training game. Legends Field. You know why? Because the last time I think I pulled this book out was on the plane. It was a plane read for me back when I went to spring training.
oh wow!
But I've read this book 3 times. So if I ever go on a job interview and they ask, what was the last book you read and how did it affect your life? I always pull out Me and My Dad because it's generally the last book I've read.
And it combines both your love of baseball and pancakes.
I'm an eggs and bacon guy, but yeah, my son likes pancakes a lot, so that's good.
Pancakes are just hot carbs. I'm not a fan.
Oh man! After Prince beat you in basketball, what'd he do? He brought us inside and he made us pancakes.
I will maintain that I think the Prince one is funnier than the Rick James.
Rick James? Yeah. That's neither one of them are top copy. So you might ask yourself, why do we do that to the customers? Well, you know why. Who's your 3?
I'm gonna go. This is a bit of a sentimental pick because he's my favorite sports journalist, Gary Smith for Sports Illustrated. It's a collection of his long form reporting. It's a book called Beyond the Game.
Beyond the Game.
If you're a fan of like the old 80s and 90s long form feature writing that Sports Illustrated used to do, Gary Smith was a master of the form, and the book is a great example of why. So
you said it's called Beyond the Game?
Beyond the Game by Gary Smith.
Let's see here. That's not what I'm looking at. If you Google Beyond the Game, there's some different stuff that's out there. Who wrote it again? Gary Smith?
Gary Smith.
So let's type in Gary Smith along with it. And now we're looking at, you can get it, relatively affordable. The collected sports writing of Gary Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my
That's a cool picture on the cover. So can you tell me what the cover looks like for you?
If I remember right, it's like a silhouette of a kid.
Yeah. Okay. I got the same thing.
Like a night sky.
Yeah, he's in the middle of like a baseball field. No, it's really cool artwork there. Not that it matters, for the writing. It's rated 4.6 stars on the Zon. So cool.
It's fantastic stuff. And like the stories he wrote, like he wasn't doing profiles on like name people. He was finding like these obscure stories in these small communities.
That's hard reporting to do.
It is.
Like, and anybody can go find the big thing, but like you go find the dart thrower that has 18 consecutive world championships in cricket. Like, what's that about?
Like the one story that sticks out to me was about like this guy who went to this area that had like a big, like, I think it was a Mennonite community, and he became their basketball coach. And it feels like the script to a Disney movie, except it's all real. It's just such an amazing read. So that is my ringing endorsement for Gary Smith in general and Beyond the Game specifically.
Number 3 on Tim's list. So this one, I have my list. I don't really think that I ranked them except for the Fab Five one and the Bow. So when we were in 11th grade, were we in the same history class? Do you remember?
Is this going to be Hollywood Henderson?
Yeah. Oh, so you even know the book. So we had to read a book. We had to read something historical. Yes. And I thought to myself, dude, a history book. Oh. So my dad suggests, he's like, well, this is historical. And there's a sports element. There's football, so you're going to like it. So the book is called Out of Control: Confessions of an NFL Casualty by Thomas Hollywood Henderson. And in the book, he talks about all the drug usage, especially at halftime of, was it Super Bowl IX? I want to say
against the Steelers when he was doing coke.
So the part of this book though that still resonates with me even since 11th grade, he gets to training camp and they hand him the playbook for the week, and it's the Cleveland Browns that they're playing in the preseason, and it goes something like, the Cleveland Browns, when they have the ball on their own 32-yard line on the left hash, will run 32 dive 33.4% of the time. ... Well, no shit. That's great. That made me laugh. I'm sitting there reading, and I started laughing reading because I could just see Henderson reading it. Well, no shit. That was his reaction, not like, oh my goodness, what should I just?
Yeah, what a thorough breakdown of their game film.
It was that, and then I was just in just awe of the sheer fact that like someone went and had to track this without Excel. Like they're not doing any of this computerized. They're watching it on a film.
Yeah, old
and
film.
They're like, yeah, we're just going to track, what they do on their own hash mark on the left hash at the 30-yard line. The fact that there's a percentage like 33% of the time, did they run it once out of 3 plays?
Yeah, well, that's a good question too. What's the sample size?
11th grade Max had a lot of questions, but he focused a lot on the drugs and then the rehabilitation. But that part of that book was like, that is some wild stuff about the behind the scenes of what happened, off the field. That the whole training camp was just wild. I think he talks about like the hazing issues, and yeah, it was an environment. We'll put it that way.
I definitely, because we did have the same history class. Mr.
You remember? You have to remember. What did you read?
I don't remember.
Yes, you do.
For 11th grade history, I'm trying to remember. I might have tried to maybe double dip with something I was reading for English. Okay. But yeah,
you go to the recesses of your brain. It's there. I know.
I'm sure it's there somewhere, but for whatever reason, Hollywood Henderson stuck out more.
That my book, like,
yeah.
Watch, Jamelli's reading. Holy cow!
For my next one, I'm gonna go basketball for this one. I'm gonna go with The Season on the Brink by John Feinstein, about the Bobby Knight Indiana team that won the title in '87. Where he was embedded with them for an entire season, and it's just. Can
you imagine hanging out with
Bobby Knight at that?
Bobby Knight
with the way he regarded media, especially, and then being an embedded reporter. But it ends up being a great read. It's probably the greatest basketball book. And I'd be hard pressed to find a better one.
Okay. I let me see here. I drafted one first overall.
Well, I have another one on my list that I don't think is going to be in my top 5, but I love the book Drive by Larry Bird.
Oh, I was kind of wondering. There had to be some Larry Bird book.
And he wrote it with Bob Ryan, actually, the previously mentioned Bob Ryan.
The Boston columnist, sure.
Yeah.
No, but I was checking out Season on the Brink. John Feinstein was paid $17,500. And they were convinced they were going to lose money on this book. I think that's kind of nuts.
Yeah, well, and because you think of the time investment alone, in
6-7 months,
and travel, and all the other fees that come up, But it ended up being worth it because, like I said, it would be if there's another book. Like John Feinstein, if there's a better basketball book, it might be The Punch by John Feinstein, which is a whole book about Kermit Washington beating up Rudy Tomjanovich and breaking his jaw and ending his career.
Oh my! Okay, I had to pick something up off the floor. I have others here that are not going to get drafted. Well, one of them will. Number 5. For me, and I saved it for number 5, and it'll make sense, I think, when you see it, number 5 is right here. This is called Setting the Record Straight. Joe DiMaggio, who wore number 5. The guy who wrote this, Morris Engelberg, was famously like he was like one of the few friends Joe DiMaggio had, and in the book he talks about DiMaggio famously he was standoffish with reporters, and it was very hard to get something written about him from a personal standpoint. But Morris was his friend, and Morris would go to the place was called Toots Shores. Yeah, it was a bar. And like DiMaggio had the VIP in the back, like nobody knew he was there, but Morris, he would come hang out with him. So everything he has written, I feel pretty confident that it's true, which is kind of neat, especially about a player from that era that I wouldn't have seen, but kind of my grandfather's favorite player is my dad's favorite player, kind of at least gave me an insight to, what he was like. I haven't read it. That was another book I would have brought on a plane, pre-cell phone, Wi-Fi.
It's funny because a different DiMaggio book was on my list, but I don't think it's going to be in my top 5. But
which
Joe
one
DiMaggio,
was that?
A Hero's Life by Richard Ben Kramer.
I have that one too.
Fantastic.
Didn't make the list at all. I forget when I read that. It might have been the first book I read of DiMaggio, but then I found the Setting the Record Straight book. Now I'm not saying anything in Kramer's book is wrong. It's just not as behind the curtain, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely a different perspective, where it sounds like this book is more of an insider's account, and Kramer's is a little more almost like a third person narrator.
And let's see what we see from the outside. But no, that's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tim, what's your 5?
My 5.
You're not going to pick one of my honorable mentions that I have sitting over here. I'm sure of it.
For my number 5, I'm going to go with another baseball book. It's by Jeff Pearlman, and it's a book called The Bad Guys Won, about the 86 Mets.
I saw that.
And it's so good because that team was so colorful, and just like you talk about Hollywood Henderson, the debauchery, only it's not just one guy, it's 25 guys, doing coke and, ripping lung darts in the dugout. And, it feels very old school baseball, but not always in the best ways. But obviously it culminates in them having a World Series championship despite it all. It's another one where it's just a great story. Told.
Yeah. I forget where I saw it. I was doing research for this. I think I just typed in best sports books, and then that was one of the things that came on like those ranking things. And then I decided I'm going to go look at my own bookshelf. I do have a handful of them. So like honorable mention wise, this one, while it's sad, this is really well written. And
yeah,
I discovered that Derek Jeter was playing Game 7 with a broken leg. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Then this book, the Joe Torre Yankee years, when this first came out, the big headline was how he ripped A-Rod and on all of that. And then there was a little bit of that in here, but again, it's
I'm sensing a theme to your book.
It's just it's a neat little. It's behind the curtain. Sure. This one though, this has to be a Red Sox on the cover. It's a big one. That's what she said. This is called Now Batting Number, and then it's all about numbers. So like, do you know in 2002 who number 5 was for the Cleveland Indians? No. In
Carlos Baerga?
I turned. I'm sorry. Well, I'll stay here for this one. Colorado Rockies 2002. Who was number 10?
You said 2002?
2002. Colorado Rockies. Who wore jersey number 10?
Dante
Mike
Bichette?
Hampton. I'm not even.
Oh wow, I thought he wore number 40.
Dante Bichette.
Maybe that was with the Mets.
Dante Bichette. I don't even see him on the roster here. Oh my gosh.
He might have been gone by then.
But I mean, so like, it's dated because it's a book. But then they go into, who might be the best numbers of all time. So it's like an encyclopedia type thing. So you don't read it; you just kind of pick it up in the bathroom from time to time. It's heavy.
I almost included an encyclopedia in my list because I always used to check out. It was this big book from the Hazleton Public Library. It was the NBA encyclopedia of like 1948 to like 1988.
Like stats and stuff.
It was stats. It was like recaps of seasons and all-star games and
I had a football book
for each year.
Joe Montana on the cover. It was this thick, but it was like a phone book. Yeah, and those books were fun to look at.
They were, and it taught me, because I was like 9 or 10, and it taught me about basketball from before I was alive. It taught me who Dolph Schayes was and George Mikan and Bob Pettit.
Did you have any other? Because I have two more that I actually don't have copies of, but I'd like to hear what else was on your list.
So I had Drive by Larry Bird and Bob Ryan. I had a Vec as in Rec about baseball owner Bill Vec, who he was the guy who sent Eddie Goodell to the plate. He was always trying to find wild ways to get people into the stands. He was the guy behind Disco Night, where
Chicago,
or 5 Cent Beer Night, where they had to end the game early because everyone in the stadium got tanked. So Vec is in Rec is a great read. A great book I had recommended. I think I recommended it to your dad. It's about college football fandom. It's a book called Rammer Jammer Yellow Hammer, where the writer followed around Alabama football.
Oh yeah, I bet he thinks that.
Who just like drive around in an RV through the SEC country all season watching Alabama football.
That might be worse than the bad guys win.
Lee Montville had a really good Ted Williams biography in the early 2000s. It's just a great read. Because, I mean, you think about athletes who had amazing lives. I mean, Ted Williams, fighter pilot in 2 wars, maybe the greatest hitter ever. Just a fascinating guy.
The other two that I don't know where they are. They might have been donated or something. Perfect I'm Not. David Wells wrote a book, and I loved Boomer back in the 90s. But, him talking about growing up in California and befriending the Hells Angels and like that weird relationship that he always had, because his mother was dating a Hells Angel at the time. That was a book. But the other one, I think you might have read. I'd be very surprised if you at least hadn't heard of it, because you kind of sort of did something like this as a reporter. The book is called Paper Lion: Confessions of a Last String Quarterback from George Plimpton. That was very entertaining for me to read through, and Plimpton's a funny guy.
Yeah, and I did do, obviously at a different time in life. I was maybe like 24 or 25 at the time.
Quarterback of...
But I did go through doubles with one of the local high school football teams. Can
you imagine when we were in high school if Steve Stallone or... Ray Saul came down, and Coach Matz was like, "All right, we're gonna hand the ball to Saul. Try not to hit him too hard.
Watch me light up the reporter."
No, but Plimpton plays with is Detroit, and he
they actually made that into a movie where Alan Alda plays Plimpton.
I didn't know that. See, I've read the book though, so. It's a good time. So check it out. We read here on Soup and Meatballs as well.
We're men of letters.
Letters.
We're the literati.
Letters and numbers here. So you just sent me this. It was a couple days. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
I think it was yesterday morning.
But you said, "Can we do something with this?" I'm like, "Yeah, we'll start a segment called Build Your Squad." I see these all the time. And I think this is. I sent you a Michigan one that we should we'll save that one till like we're closer to college football. But so your job is to build a team, and you gave me $15, right? So yes. I figured, we don't draft if both of us wanted Derrick Rose, and I didn't know who Derrick Rose was. That'd be cool. So I went first in the draft. Let's I have my squad all here. I promise I'm not going to change it. I think I have a good squad, by the way. Who are you taking, and how much are you spending?
So you want my whole squad?
Oh, we can go one at a time. I have
Okay.
mine ranked the cheapest to the most expensive.
So I very much would like Michael Jordan for.
Oh, you're going to go most expensive down. Okay.
Oh, I can go cheapest.
Oh, no. Let's go 5 down. That makes sense. So you took Michael Jordan. Shocking. So did I. When you look at a list like this, I think people our age are going to say, well, that makes a lot of sense. And the kids that I have in school now are going to take the guy in the middle. But we're right, they're not. So we're $5 in.
So and then I mean, no surprise, my small forward, I'm going $4 for Larry Bird.
Okay, so I spent $5 again. I put Magic and Michael in my backcourt, which means Larry Bird is not on my team.
So I figured the $2 difference between Magic and Steph, and the actual difference between them. I want Steph as my point guard, and I'll save the $2 and use it elsewhere.
I got you. That's fair.
So I go Steph at my 1, even though he's listed as a 2, which is kind of silly.
Oh, it's absolutely.
And then Jordan's my 2, so that's $8, and then Bird is my 3. So now I'm at $12.
You're in for 12. Now, see, I spent 10, so now I've got to get kind of magical with money. I dropped down to the $3 range, and I said, if you're going to give me Giannis Antetokounmpo for $3, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So I'm in 13. I've got Magic, Michael, and Giannis.
I mean, in my personal ranking, I have Giannis as the second best power forward of all time. So I think that's a great value pick. But if you're talking about a value pick on this chart, Shaq for $1 is cheating.
Well, so I'll just jump in with you because Shaq was the first guy I picked. I'm like, dude, at $1, yes, give me that. So we both have Michael, we both have Shaq. So that's pretty good.
Shaq is the most dominant physical force of our lifetimes in basketball, and no one is close. So if you give me Kevin Garnett for $2 and Shaq for $1, I mean, with Garnett, you're talking about an elite rim protector who can also defend on the perimeter. Shaq, especially when he was motivated, was a very good defender inside. And then obviously Michael was an elite defender. I think
putting Shaq on a team with Michael and Larry would his attitude changes a little bit. Like, because the big knock with him when Kobe showed up was he was doing movies, he was doing his rap stuff. His mind might not have been there.
Right. Like, can you imagine this team where Steph is stretching the floor, Jordan's slashing in from the wing, and Shaq and KG are cleaning everything up, and Bird's there to do
and you got to do Bird in his
everything?
prime. Like, all of these guys we're talking like they're not dealing with any injuries. So, yeah, that's
right. I'm talking about like 85, 86, 87.
That's an amazing team.
Like 93 Jordan, 2015 Curry, like Shaq in 2000, KG in 2000.
I went with the all $5 backcourt because the size that Magic brings and the ability to run an offense, Jordan being able to, like you say, slash, Shaq in the middle, and Giannis doing Giannis stuff, which is both inside and outside, offensively and defensively.
And he's another elite defender, like a 2-time defensive player.
I had $1 left, and I went Dirk to round out the front court. If I had to manipulate the money a little bit to be able to get a KG, I think Dirk is right up there, at least offensively. Maybe not as strong defensively as Garnett was, but I mean, you got guys like Giannis and Dirk who are just massive sized people who can score. I think it's hard to go wrong on this with this list. That there was a couple people that I was looking at this and I was looking like, so I don't see a Scottie Pippen on this list. I didn't see who was else that I was looking for. And I didn't write it down, but
Yeah, because they have Barkley listed as a small forward when he was a
yeah.
4.
And
So
like I said, I had to ask you who Derrick Rose was. That felt bad. That's a I like these little things because you can't be wrong. It gives you something to talk about.
I also don't see how anyone picks anyone other than Shaq as their center for $1.
Well, so I had a hard time in my head. Like, what if I put Shaq and Wilt on the same team for $3? Who's stopping that down low?
True.
You could also
there will be no layup.
If I want Shaq and Kareem, so I have Kareem and Jordan as my two $5 guys, that means I have to take Derrick Rose. Oh no, I take a former MVP in his prime,
the youngest MVP in league history,
as my one. Oh well. Yeah, it's really neat what you can do mixing and matching with something like this. The tough thing is if you drop the budget down to $10, where now you have to start getting creative. You have to take like one of the 5s if you want one, and you're not taking Magic and Larry. That doesn't work.
For $10, I'd really have to think there.
You take just the $2 row, and Shaq.
I take Shaq for 1
Steph at your 1 instead of Russell.
Let me think here. So Shaq for 1. I still go. I might go Giannis for 3, so that's 4. I'll take Dr. J for 1 for 5. And then I might go maybe like Kobe and D.
Imagine this. I'm going to take Shaq, Wilt, Jokic, Giannis, and let's throw Derrick Rose in there.
Well, you got
that's what I'm saying. Who's guarding that team? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're going to be cleaning glass like Windex. That's for sure.
We miss. We'll be able to, like you said, clean it up. There it is. There's our build your squad. If we find a couple of those, we can make this a thing. But the thing that we've been doing for a while, our top 5, and this goes back to our draft lottery, and we talked a little bit about the tinfoil hat and who believes what. And you came up with this. Can we do our top 5 conspiracy theories that? So this was, did we say like that we might actually believe these, or like they sound credible?
Yeah. Well, first of all, before we get into this subject, I have a little something to.
There, you actually had it.
When you said you had tinfoil there, I was so excited.
Oh man! No, I have nothing even remotely close. You know what I do have though? I have a block.
This is so the government can't read my thoughts with their gamma technology.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh, so I took the first pick in the draft. I'll give you the first. I have mine listed. They're not in any order, and I actually have 8 of them that I thought might actually be a thing. But
so I went back a bit for my first one. I went back to 1951. And I'm going to say that I feel there is actual evidence to back up the claim that the New York Giants, New York baseball Giants, stole signs to beat the Dodgers and get the home run off of Ralph
the
Branco.
shot heard around the world.
The shot heard around the world was ill-gotten gains. Because those Giants, when they were still alive, talked about how they had a system for stealing signs. And a lot of those Dodgers of that time said they suspected the Giants. And that game, I believe, was at the Polo Grounds. because it was a walk-off because the Giants would have had last at bat.
They have somebody in the bleachers with binoculars.
I think it's very plausible.
I went with like actual like non-sports things. I like the sports angle there.
I went all sports ones. I can give you.
Good. I mean, I don't know a lot of conspiracy theories except the movie that Mel Gibson was in. So the one that I thought was plausible, and there's some really weird stuff that the Walt Disney Company created the movie Frozen so that when people would Google Disney Frozen, they wouldn't read anything about Walt Disney himself and maybe how not nice of a person he was. So that the only reason they made that movie was so that people who Googled Disney Frozen trying to find something about, because he was cryogenically frozen, right? So now we're finding out about Anna and Elsa instead. That seemed like something that could happen to me.
I'd never heard that.
Well, it's true because you've now heard it.
It's on the internet.
You wouldn't have reported it here on Soup and Meatballs otherwise.
Nothing is more credible than a sentence told to a man wearing a tinfoil hat.
Exactly. And
just my
it's a Red Sox hat. It almost looks like the we used to call the Krusty Dago hat. That's kind of what it looks like.
The cabbie hat.
So I'm going Disney for. What's your number two?
My number two, I'm going back again a bit, back to the 60s. Maybe the most famous sports photo of all time, Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston. I would argue there is a chance that Sonny Liston took a dive. For the fight to end that early, there were always rumors that Sonny Liston might have been in the pocket of the mob. And so a lot of people, the fight was in Maine in, I believe, 1964. And a lot of people claim it was a phantom punch that put Sonny Liston on the
So I just saw this thing on the Twitter the other day, and it's what's the best sports photo? And they have that as one of them. And somebody called it the phantom punch. And I'm like, I didn't understand that. So, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, that has to be, I would think, at least in the top three for most recognizable sports photo of all time.
I'm not a boxing guy. I recognize that picture.
Right. Like if I'm thinking about it, like maybe the Miracle on Ice, like all the guys after they beat Russia.
That picture was shown. Actually, there was two Ali pictures that made their list. Again, this was just like 4 days ago that I saw this thread. Okay, I mean that's certainly plausible to me.
Yes, that is my conspiracy theory. Sonny Liston.
My number two, I firmly believe that it's possible that in Scotland something called a Loch Ness monster could exist. A creature on this planet. If you've seen like some of the weird dinosaur things that existed. Crocodiles and alligators today are basically dinosaurs. Could there be something with a long neck that lives in the loch? Yeah, I think so.
And absolutely, when you like hear oceanographers talk about how many species they're only now discovering, with
said something that triggered me. The Arctic reef, or the ice caps, the polar ice caps that were melting. They're studying now the water underneath it, and they've discovered a couple hundred new species. They're all scary as heck. Anything in the ocean is just terrifying to me.
The ocean creeps me out. I love going to the beach, but
don't get on TikTok and search North Sea, because
to me the ocean is far scarier than like outer space.
Absolutely terrifying. I'm with you. And they're both dark with no oxygen. Nessie exists. I'm there with that.
Number three, I don't even know if this could be considered a conspiracy theory. I think it's just accepted that Major League Baseball, coming off the strike in the 90s, knew that players were roided up to the gills. And, Bud Selig was like, we're not going to include drug testing in the collective bargaining agreement. Hint, hint. So that we could get Bonds, we can get Sosa, McGuire in 98.
And it's arguable that they saved baseball.
They absolutely did, because the NHL was rising, the NBA was ascending, and Major League Baseball fans were fed up
94
with the strike.
number on
The 94 season, the way it was shaping up, where Gwynn's going after 400, and you had Griffey and Thomas and Matt Williams going after.
We're gonna have the Yankees beat the Expos in the World Series.
The Yankees and the Expos, and then a great All-Star game that went to extra innings. And then
and I don't know if this is later on your list, but like the fact that that whether or not they had juiced baseballs kind of goes into that same kind of thought, the conspiracy thinking, like, oh, are the baseballs juiced, or why do we have this many home runs? No, I'm with you, and I think that's accepted fact more than any of the stuff on my list. Oh my gosh, like whether or not there's a dinosaur living in Scotland.
See, I think the steroids and Loch Ness are equally plausible.
Yeah. Well, it's plausibility. My number 3, again, I could see this happening. There's a theory that the Coca-Cola company intentionally changed their formula with New Coke to an inferior form. Like they made it worse. They knew it was going to be bad because it was either going to drive up demand for their original product or allow them to reintroduce the new formula with cheaper ingredients. Coke president, he actually said this. I wrote this down. The truth is we're not that dumb, but we're not that smart. I think New Coke was done on purpose so that they could sell Coke Classic at a higher demand. They knew what they were doing. Making poor.
Is that something like that you found online, like that people
fight about this? I didn't know. I didn't care. I wasn't drinking New Coke back in the day. I was a root beer guy.
People really
I
fired
told
up
you with the hat. But like
soda.
I could see this though. Plausibility. All right, you and we're in business. We're making pancakes, and the pancake demand is it's shifting. So we say we've got the new pancakes. Tim, we're going to make these garbage. People are going to be begging for the old pancakes, and we sell them at a profit. Woo-hoo, and then what? So whenever there's money involved, it's hard for me not to believe something.
Yeah, capitalism makes people do far stranger things than change the formula to Coca-Cola.
So that was the plausibility of it, and the fact that the guy came out and said, "Yeah, we're not that dumb, but we're not that smart." Like, oh, really? So you're saying that's a smart idea? Oh, now the wheels are spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Tinfoil hat is still on.
Now who looks ridiculous? You selling inferior soda, or me, who sat here at 9:15 putting aluminum foil on my Red Sox hat? I think we both know the answer.
So that's my number 3.
My number 4 is that in the 80s, when hockey was trying to break into being one of the major North American sports, not just in Canada, but break into the American markets, the NHL said, hey, Edmonton Oilers, wouldn't it be great if you traded Wayne Gretzky to Los Angeles, where he could play in a major market, be close to Hollywood, and try to grow this game a little bit?
Number 99 over here.
So I think the NHL may have twisted some arms in Edmonton to get Gretzky to Los Angeles.
That goes right along with, the whole Dallas, if you move Luka, we'll give you Cooper. Oh.
Yeah, or trying to get Ewing to New York.
The plausibility of this is incredible, and I'm with you. Yeah, absolutely. My number 5 is kind of scary because of this right here. I honestly believe that your smartphone is listening in on your private conversations. It's called active listening because you and I could be talking about gummy bears. 20 minutes later, I'm getting ads for Haribo on my Facebook page.
This was a couple of years ago. I was talking to someone about tooth whitening products, and then I started getting targeted ads for like tooth whitening
apps. I think Alexa is in on it. I think Siri is in on it. I think they're all conspiring.
The Freemasons, the Illuminati,
and steal my money. Like, listen, I know Haribo exists. They're okay. The best gummy bears are at Sheets. They have like this white packaging. I don't know the name of them. I just know they're the best gummy bears out there. I don't need them to be advertised to me. I know they're the best. But in 20 minutes, I get on my Facebook page. I'm telling you, I'm going to see gummy bears.
You're quite a connoisseur of gummy bears. I didn't realize.
Oh, well, I mean, I have this guy running right now, but not for gummy. We'll see. In a couple minutes, I'll check.
My number 5 is that the NFL was so sick of the Patriots dynasty, and that was the only reason they pursued Deflategate, was to try to bring some parity to the league and to try to, by having Brady have to sit out the following season for, what was it, 4 games? Try to give some other teams a chance to knock the Patriots off.
Didn't work, did it?
It did not. He stuck around for like another 8 years.
That whole thing, I remember like they're supposed to switch the ball back to normal, and like Brady had a better second half than he had a first half. So like it's hard to, the whole Deflategate situation was hard to like yell at New England for. Spygate was a different story. Like
Spygate was actually
that was a penalizable offense. The Deflategate thing, yeah, I don't know if they were that upset with New England as a dynasty, as much as like it might have been like an anti-Belichick thing, where because like Belichick was always great. He's never the happy guy with the media. He's hard to get along with, and I can't imagine like if Goodell had to talk to him or deal with him that he'd be forthcoming with him. So that's totally plausible. I'm with you there.
Deflategate has always seemed especially shady to me because it's such a nothing of an offense.
Gotcha. So that's your 1 through 5. I think I'm on 5 right now.
That's my 1 through 5.
So my number 5 is something that you get on Google Maps and you look it up. I mean, it's blacked out for a reason. I think Area 51 has some kind of weird alien technology, and whether it's aiding our military or not. All I know is the universe is too damn big for us not to have found something somewhere. And I think it just happened to be in Nevada.
I don't know if it's alien technology, but I definitely think there's something.
It's absolutely there. Military. We know that, but
there's something classified stored there that they don't want to freak people out about.
And you know what? I lost his name. Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones said it in Men in Black. A person is smart. People are stupid. 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, we knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, we knew the Earth was flat. And 20 minutes ago, you knew you were alone on this planet. Imagine what we're going to know tomorrow. So maybe it's a good thing they keep the stuff secret.
And, I think to bring us all full circle, we need the Dallas Mavericks to select the Loch Ness Monster.
That would be
number 1 overall.
That would be tremendous. So there's 3 more. I have 2 more here, and I just thought of one. As I was looking, these are things people actually believe. Number 7 here for me. Or what was number 7? That was number 6. Oh no, that was that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I miss one? Oh, the U.S. moon landing was staged. Sure. Did you see the technology we had back in the 50s? Yeah, absolutely. So this one, Finland is nothing but a fabricated country created by the Japanese and the Soviet governments during the Cold War. The idea is that the country is actually just open water, and Japan uses it for a secret fishing operation, with the fish then being transported through Russia into Japan under the guise of Nokia products. So Finland doesn't exist. That's a thing people believe.
Okay, that one seems a little out there. And I'm wearing.
And I think my favorite of it's the birds aren't real. Have you heard this? The birds,
that they're like drones or whatever,
operated by the U.S. government to spy on American citizens. So we've had bird technology since the dawn of man. Birds flying around. That's just
apparently
crazy. But here, I just thought of this when you talked about the Brady suspension. One of the biggest conspiracies in the NBA is that Michael Jordan's suspension was masked by his retirement. and that he was suspended during that time and he came back. But because he was such a name that we couldn't say he was suspended. And I mean, I remember where I was. The ESPN just did a day-long Sports Center on the day of his retirement. And it was so sudden. It was like Sopranos ending level sudden. But then
I don't buy into that, though, because David Stern was too smart to say, you're the most marketable athlete on the globe, and we're going to take you out of competition at the peak of your career.
If there was gambling involved, like what happened to Pete Rose, man? I mean, if Jordan was gambling, if his father was a murder victim because of that, like there's a whole thing that, you know, it requires half a tinfoil hat, I think.
Well, and it's definitely been out there. I think I don't buy into that.
Didn't make my list, but I just thought of it right now. So there we go. I mean, you take the hat off, so
I'll go back to standard hat now.
I don't know what kind of damage you did to your head if you scratched yourself with the tinfoil.
I'm going.
Oh, that's unfortunate. So Mr. Smarty Pants, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Who wrote the war poem Dulce et Decorum Est? This is an extreme difficulty literature question in my Dice Baseball League. I don't know this.
Dante.
I'll put Dante in. It is not Dante. And now everyone thinks I guessed Dante, but you did. I don't know the answer, and I don't really care. But here we go. Mr. Smarty Pants time. Tim, today is show number 33. And if you start thinking about the number 33 and jersey numbers, where's my jersey book? I threw it. Who's the first player that comes to mind? Good. So you got the first trivia question right, because that leads us into some Larry Bird trivia questions. I got you 3 questions for the 3-3. All right. One of them I feel good about you getting. One's like medium. And honestly, if you know one of them, you're a robot. So here we go. Are you ready?
Okay. I am.
There we go. Number 1, the one I feel good about. Larry Bird was the 6th overall draft pick by the Boston Celtics in the 1978 draft. Who was the number 1 overall pick in that draft?
In 78?
And you know who drafted him?
Was it Kent Benson? I don't think I know.
So Portland passed on Larry Bird to draft Michael Thompson or Mitchell. Mitchell. It's Mychal. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Michael.
Yeah.
Michael Thompson from Minnesota. So that was the one I felt good about. Oh, boy. So, here's the robot question. Forget about this. In the 78 draft that Larry Bird was drafted, who was pick number 33?
Oh, boy. I'll need
he was drafted by Cleveland. He played 40 games as a rookie and averaged 4 points a game. So he played. I don't even know anything else about him. He was from Florida State. He was a Florida State player. No, that's why I said you have to be a robot. His name was Harry Davis.
Yeah.
See, now you know, and if it's on Final Jeopardy, you'll double your money. Here's the toss-up, and maybe this will be easier for you. During his career, Larry Bird famously wore number 33 as his jersey number. He was the last Boston Celtic to wear it. Which Boston Celtic wore 33 before Larry Bird?
Was it Jim Loskotov?
That's not the name I have here, so no.
I don't know.
He played 8 seasons in Boston. The player is a forward, and his name is Steve Kuberski. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, does not. Boy, I really ate it.
Well, that's okay. We got some lists here for you to help you out. I think the lists might be. Oh no! I have another question. And it's about the draft. See, we take a couple days off. I have all kinds of questions here. So it's a draft question. Earlier, we talked about the Mavericks defying the odds to win the draft lottery. They had a 3% chance to get the top pick. But do you know that wasn't the longest shot to come in? Which team that won the lottery to get the number 1 overall pick had the lowest overall percent chance to win? And you just got to give me the team. You don't got to give me the percentage because that would be crazy.
Orlando when they got Penny.
Yes. But they didn't draft Penny.
Well, they drafted Weber and then
in 1993 they had a 1.52% chance. After the
right, because Shaq is a rookie, they were like 41.
They were 15 and fit. They had a 15.15% chance in 92. The other closest ones in 2008, the Chicago Bulls had a 1.7% chance when they drafted Derrick Rose, and we talked about this earlier. In 2011, the Cavaliers had a 2.8% chance to get Kyrie Irving, but they came through. So there you go. You got that one. You're one for 4 today.
Redemption, thy name is
now lists. I have 2 different lists for you, and you got to understand one of the lists was because the Yankees and Mets were playing that weekend series. So we're going to start with this one. And we did this kind of once before with the Yankees and Red Sox, but I'm going to change it a little bit now. So I was looking for a list of players who played a minimum of 150 games for the New York Yankees and 150 games for the New York Mets. There are a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I think when I did this, I think I only got 4 of them.
And how many are there?
I mean, who has played for the Yankees and Mets total? Oh, it's like 156. But I'm looking for you had to play 150 games for both teams.
Okay.
Strawberry played 231 with the Yankees, over 1,000 with the Mets. He's on the list.
So it's not going to be a pitcher because it can't be.
Gooden played for both teams famously. Didn't play 150 games for each though.
Yeah. 150 for both. Let's think. And you said you got 4 of them?
So I mean, Darryl was one of the ones that I got. One of them really shocked me. That of the 5 I didn't get, I was like really surprised at one of them. 2 of them rather, I never really heard of. One of them was a name like, oh wow, he was a Yankee too. No kidding.
I know Yogi Berra coached for the Mets. He didn't play with the Mets at the end of the
year.
He
played 4 games. So he's not on the list.
So it doesn't qualify. How about one of the Berra kids?
No Berra kid, unless they have different last names.
No, I was thinking like Dale Berra or one of them. Okay.
There's definitely a recency. The ones that I knew of were more recent.
How about here's a name. How about Rafael Santana?
Rafael Santana not on the list. Did Rafael Santana play for the Yankees? He did. Oh my goodness! You know how many games he played for the Yankees? You're gonna hate this.
147.
So, off by 2. Those 2 games he took off were enough.
Oh, Rafael.
I didn't even know he was a Yankee, so there's that.
How about I'm just going through like 80s and 90s Mets.
Ricky Henderson would have been the 80s guy, and he's the guy I didn't realize played over 150 games with the Mets.
Yeah, because he was on those like early 2000s teams that took on the Braves.
So he ranks 2 on the list. I ranked these on the thing. I had to, in order to sort it on Baseball Reference, I sorted it by number of games played for the Yankees. So he played 596 with the Yankees and 152 for the Mets. So there's one player who played more games with the Yankees, and about the equal number of games with the Mets. More than double.
How about
the Yankees?
How about Lee Mazzilli?
Lee Mazzilli's not on the list.
boy.
So
I don't know. And now I see that we've been doing this for more than 2.5 hours. Maybe I should just.
Oh my goodness. Oh well, I mean, so I'll tell you of the three that I would have gotten, two of them are outfielders and one of them was an infielder.
Okay.
The infielder played when he was with the Yankees. He has the most games played as a Yankee, 1374, and he was part of a Murderers Row lineup.
Part of a Murderers Row lineup.
But he was not in the Murderers Row. He was the plus.
He was the plus.
Played second base. They called it Murderers Row plus Cano.
Oh, God. All right, Robbie
168
Cano.
with the Mets. The outfielders, one of them it's a pretty good split. 513 with New York, 573 with the Mets. As I say New York, like they're different. 513 with the Yankees, 573 with the Mets. Saved the Yankees playoff run in 2009 with a big home run. Always had a big smile on his face. Detroit for a while too.
Curtis Granderson.
And then the next guy that I would have gotten was a fantasy baseball super stud with Kansas City.
Fantasy baseball super stud with Kansas
Batting
City.
average, RBI, stolen bases, I think. Yeah, I mean, he was back in 2003, 2004. He was like the number one pick in a lot of people's online leagues. And when the Yankees got him, I was super pumped. But he played actually more. He played 839 with the Mets. He was only with the Yankees for 3 seasons, I think. Carlos Beltran, yeah. Those are the ones I would have gotten along with Darryl Strawberry. I wouldn't have gotten Ricky Henderson. The other ones, one guy got his butt kicked by Nolan Ryan, pretty good.
Oh, sure, Robbie Ventura.
One of them has one of the coolest names in all of baseball, but he was definitely a Met more than I wouldn't even known him with the Yankees. Ron Swoboda.
I didn't know he was a
Elliot Maddox, 210 with the Yankees, 335 with the Mets. I hadn't heard of Elliot Maddox. And then Charlie Smith, 181 with the Yankees, 262 for the Mets. I never even heard of those two guys until I did this research. Yeah. So,
wow.
Do you want the other list, or do you want me to
Sure.
save that? I mean, I can. I got time.
Let's
okay.
save it.
So then this one is. We will put you till next week. I don't even know how to mark that. Let's highlight you green, and you will mentally prepare yourself for whatever that is to come.
Deep meditation.
You said you had a ranking thing, so let's.
I do. It's a blind.
I have a ranking thing here that is totally worthless. That I will default to you. So what are we looking at?
So it is 10. It is a list of 10. Random sandwiches.
Oh, okay. So they're all sandwiches.
They're all sandwiches, and you have to rank them in order of preference. 1 being your favorite, 10.
I've seen this. I've seen something like this though. Yeah, cool. I love sandwiches.
All right, so we're gonna start with the classic peanut butter and jelly.
Believe it or not, I'm not big on peanut butter and jelly, even with or without the crust cut off. And it's the jelly that does it for me, really. My daughter loves jelly. I'm not. It's sticky. It's not my thing. I'm gonna put PB&J just because I mean there's probably something worse. I'm gonna put it at 8.
Wow.
Okay. I'm not a.
We're gonna go with a classic, like fried chicken on a roll, like a Popeyes fried chicken sandwich.
I have lived where I live for 21 years. There is a Popeyes right down the road. I have been to Popeyes precisely 0 times. The biggest problem is the access. It's not the easiest place to get into. Here in Chambersburg, they're big on Chick-fil-A. I think I've been to Chick-fil-A twice. Not.
I don't think I've ever been to a Chick-fil-A.
I mean, it's fast food chicken. It's whatever. So you said a fried chicken sandwich?
Yep, fried chicken, like cheese.
I can put cheese on it. Okay, I'm gonna put fried chicken and American cheese. I'm gonna put it at 5.
Okay. Meaty part of the bell curve.
I don't think I've ever had a chicken sandwich that I didn't like. But I mean, I'm not like when I tell you the line for the takeout for Chick-fil-A is wrapped around like the parking lot, I'm not lying. People wait 40 minutes for Chick-fil-A. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It's fast food.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't wait 40 minutes for a lot of chicken, but these people do. They love it.
We'll go with classic Kansas City style barbecue.
I don't know if I've had Kansas City barbecue. I don't know the difference. So it's just like a regular barbecue sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that more than fried chicken. So I'm going to put I'll put KC BBQ. I'll put that at 4.
Okay. We're going to go next. Pastrami on rye. Deli classic.
You're going to hate me, man. I'm going to put it at 10. Only because I don't like rye bread. I've tried it. I've tried it multiple times. You often had rye bread at your house, and when you made the Tim Hare special, I ate it because I was hungry. I don't like rye bread. Sorry. Now,
Love it.
I don't even know you anymore. I like pastrami. If you give me pastrami on Italian bread or pastrami on wheat bread, I'd bump it up a little. But it's the rye bread that does it for me. Yeah, I'll keep it at 10. I think something else is coming that it'll end up being 9.
We're going to go with a Cuban sandwich.
So help me out. What's on a Cuban sandwich?
Ham, mustard. I think there's turkey as well as the ham.
So this is the part of the whole exercise, not knowing what comes up next. I'll put it at 6, but I could end up feeling bad about that. It's not that I don't like it. It's like I think I'm saving 1, 2, and 3 just in case. But I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with anything you described to me at all, unless you put on rye bread.
The next one is a classic Philly cheesesteak.
Okay, so now that's not one of the 1, 2, 3s, but we're halfway through this. So, can it be a Philly cheesesteak from wherever I want it from? Because yes. there are levels to Philly cheesesteaks that I've had. I'm going to go 3.
Okay. Now we're going to go with lobster roll.
Lobster roll? So my father would be like pumping out like 1. You just said lobster. It's whatever. I've never had lobster roll before. I'm gonna put it 7.
Okay.
Only because if I have to keep 9 open for that one thing and 1 and 2 for the other thing, maybe.
The next one is a Chicago beef sandwich, like the shaved beef, like a Chicago Italian beef sandwich with peppers.
You'd have to tell me the difference between Chicago beef and Philly cheesesteak if it's shaved beef.
They're very similar.
I'll go 2. I'm a Bears guy. You're an Eagles fan, so it makes sense that Chicago's 2.
The next one, we're going to go with a little Cajun. We're going to go with a po' boy, a shrimp po' boy.
Oh, gosh. So it's either 1 or 9. I'm going to put it 9.
And then the last one, and by default, you're number 1.
You're going to do it.
It's a meatball.
Oh, cool. Oh, see, that's fine. That's fine. I thought you were going to say Reuben. Oh. The Reuben would have been that's what I was saving 9 for. Oh, I hate Reubens and sauerkraut. Oh, it's just awful. No, meatball sub. And you know what? My number 1, believe it or not, probably wouldn't be a meatball sub. My favorite sandwich of all time is just it's a plain Jane ham and cheese with salami and mayonnaise. I've loved ham and cheese sandwiches since I was 4. Oh, they're the best.
I don't like ham like as a cold cut.
Oh, I love it.
But I do like Cuban sandwiches, so figure that out.
Yeah, I might have had a Cuban and not just referred to it as such. What kind of threw me, the Kansas City barbecue, I've had barbecue sandwiches before, but I don't know how Kansas City they were. And I've never had a po' boy. I've never had a lobster roll. I mean, all this is telling me is I need to try more sandwiches.
Yeah, I just love turkey so much. Like cold cut turkey. Or like London.
I've gotten back into. I get salami now every week. I like salami.
I cannot keep cold cuts.
Did you ever have Lebanon bologna? Is that a northeastern PA thing? Like my mother used to be big on Lebanon bologna. I love that stuff too.
Yeah, I'm not a big bologna guy.
There's a guy on TikTok, Adventures in Ardea. He does roll for sandwich. If you've never seen this, I've been watching this guy since 2020. He rolls dice, he looks at a chart, and he makes a sandwich based on the dice. It is absolutely the most incredible 4 minutes. He does it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I met him.
What's it called?
His handle is Adventures in Ardea, but if you just search for roll for sandwich, it'll be the first one that pops up. His name is Jake. I actually met Jake. He did a what do you call it? A meet and greet in Elizabethtown, and I drove to Elizabethtown to see him. Let's see here. Of course, I have like a slideshow of home screens on my phone. I don't have the picture anymore, and it won't come up. No, that's Derek in his band outfit, me on a walk, Hassan Haskins against Ohio State, Derek at Buffalo Wild Wings. There's a picture of my dog. I miss him. Come on, give me Jake. Oh, so the aforementioned Josh LaRock. Still can't block Abdul Carter. I got Maria. Come on now. That's my favorite picture of Jen.
Oh, was that the one you shared for Mother's Day?
No. The one I'll tell you about it here. I'm going to do 2 more shots, 2 more tries to get it. Nope. That's me in Harrisburg, and that's me and my dad. Come on, one more. Just give me Jake. Nope. So it's a picture of the last Christmas we had with my mom. I got COVID, and I didn't know it until we got back to Chambersburg, but we're up in Hazleton. I'm supposed to cook Christmas Eve with my dad, and I'm just I can't describe how sick I was. Like, it was just the worst. So Jen was actually helping my dad cook the fish dinner, and she hates fish. And it's a picture of her at the sink cleaning up the calamari with this face on, like, I can't believe I'm touching this. And to me, like, that's like no greater love could she have done to help my dad make the fish that day, because that her absolute disdain for seafood, and she's actually touching it and cleaning it. That's my favorite picture of her. But she's wearing her glasses and her pajamas, so I don't share it on Facebook.
How much money would it take to get Jen to eat a shrimp po' boy?
I mean, everybody's got a price. I don't know. Enough to build her own theater, at least.
So probably not financially doable for me. We can't get it to happen.
Where'd you go? Oh, let's say you went right here. I found him. That's Jake. That's Jake from Adventures in Ardea. And you're gone. Oh my goodness. Well, you're gonna have to go back and watch because it's gone now. Now it's there. Oh, we lost him. Oh my goodness. We're pushing 3 hours of content, which Around the Horn can't do. I'm gonna give him a second here to see if he makes it back before we do the sign off. And here he is. Oh, he made it back. So, but it's dark. So I don't know if is your battery dying, or did you just dark where you are? There you
I call.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I didn't know if your phone battery lasted the 3 hours that we were putting in here.
No.
A good time talking again. It's good to be back at it.
Yeah.
How's your arm feel? So the other arm you have to do the 1 pound curls with, not the arm you're holding the phone with.
And it's funny because I know someone who has an excess of like 1 pound like weights. So I can definitely make this happen.
Do it. Are you? Do you seriously hold your phone the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Get yourself a tripod, my dude. Oh my gosh. And you hold it very still. It's very steady. I mean, you're an excellent camera person. I'll give you that.
Well, thank you.
I mean,
an unexpected compliment.
We when we get sponsored, the first thing we do is buy Tim a tripod. Maybe we'll set up a GoFundMe for the 15 people that watch. Maybe they'll pitch in like $3.
Yeah,
which is more than enough for a phone tripod. They only have to pitch in like 70 cents.
There you go, Soup and Meatball viewers.
If Tim goes out and curls 1 pound 10,000 times, then cha-ching.
We'll each have to curl a 1 pound weight for the entirety of the next episode.
I don't know about that. I mean, I got mouses I got to run, and you're asking a lot there. I gotta get back to our graphics and all this happy stuff, and well, I'll tell you what, it's pushing that time. I've got to get ready for graduation. I think both of us have to probably use the lavatorial facility. Tim, it's good talking to you again.
Yeah.
Missed this. We'll do it again next week or in 3 weeks, whatever the fates allow. Right.
I'll try to be an actual smarty pants next week.
Well, the list is waiting, so I don't do half the work, but we'll see what happens between now and then. And out there in interweb world, you guys have a great day. Make the world a better place. We'll see you after later.